for the manga industry, based on my very admittedly minimal understanding of how that industry even really works. But the big thing is the lack of scarcity. How the hell does grading matter when scarcity isn't an issue?
Yeah,
I don't know, Doc. I can't believe you forgot my hero, Gregadamia. I think Kevin number 9 or Kevin number 8 was there, as well as Devon Slayer. You forgot all the pun names. All the manga experts.
Yeah, I got no idea who any of these. Yeah,
if Brock doesn't know the actual title that they're based on, he's not going to get the pun.
Yeah,
you can't expect that.
Not only that, like, I mean, I barely remember y'all's name, so hell, I barely remember my name sometimes.
Yeah. So you gonna do more manga now?
Fuck no. It was you know what though? It was a fun time to come on there and be utterly perplexed by 3/4 of the things that were being said, and then just interjecting about understanding of secondary markets. And that's really what it comes down to, whether or not secondary markets exist. I mean, virtually even exist at all for manga. And if so, whether or not they're sufficient enough to support, the need for grading.
There you go.
And
the answer is no. The answer is no, by the way.
No.
Let's talk about some of the Patreons. We've got some fantastic podcasts over there. I've got the Geek Fix with Aaron Sparrow. We got the Hot or Not show with Jim. And we also have the unfiltered videos with audios with Doc, as well as the Q&A every week. And I definitely got to give a big shout out to the new patrons this week. We've got Lord Tartman's Comics, who fights as the Comic Code Crusader and the Protector of Caption City, as well as EDW, also known as the Arrow Ace, the Protector of Altitude Acres. Cervero, who goes by the Bit Blaster name as well, and is protecting Techtopia. We've also got B-Dot on board for the Patreon. He fights as Dot Matrix and is the protector of Pixel Peak. And finally, we have Rob Kolb joining up on the Patreon. He is the Feral Force and the protector of Primal Peak as well. I do want to say thank you very much, not only to the new patrons this week, but all the Patreons. And we are doing our best to grow that thing and blow it up and add lots more fun things to that as well. And we do have Lade Kraber in here. Hello, everyone. Give Thinking Critical Patreon a look for all the excellent content. If you need a comic, contact Yule Carter, Fantastic Comics. We will try to help you. Absolutely. We got lots of fun stuff there. And it's like 8 hours every single week. And if you do need to find something, Yule Carter is your hookup. You can find him over on the social medias, or you can also find him on his own Patreon and YouTube channel, Fantastic Comics.
Big Papa Yule.
Yule's been out all month because he's been so busy with something. He won't tell me what it is.
Ooh, interesting.
Does anyone know? Busy with something. But thank you very much for supporting the channel. Lade Kramer, really appreciate the shout out and the plug on the Patreon as well. So I guess we will get right into business. We have all these things happening. Rumors abound that DC Comics are coming out with their own Ultimate Universe. Rob Liefeld talked on his Robservations podcast that he had heard that the DC Comics Ultimate Universe was coming out this year. I had been hearing this, although it had been initially smaller than what it appears it's going to be. It sounds like Mark Waid and Dan Mora have been caught up on this as well. And the weird thing is, Doc, besides just all the Elseworld kind of universes like White Knight and Deceased and all that, DC Comics have kind of already done Ultimate Universe a couple times.
Yeah, they did. That's literally what All-Star Batman, All-Star Superman, and the announced but never completed All-Star Wonder Woman were all supposed to be. The original incarnation of All-Star was a whole line of the best creatives doing, stories. Now, they initially launched it assuming that it was going to be kind of like a new modern universe, except for that never happened. They never interacted with each other. Jim Lee and Frank Miller did their thing. Grant Morrison and Frank Quitely did their thing. And Adam Hughes apparently didn't do anything. But so they've already done this. It's been done. I feel like time is a flat fucking circle.
They also had Earth 1, Doc.
Yeah, they did Earth 1 too. I mean, I'm not exactly, that was that around the time of New 52 or was that a little earlier? I can't remember.
No, it was around New 52. It came out. It started around 2012, 2013. Started.
Yeah, so you already had them do this one like twice now. I mean, at least All-Star was like, kind of. It was a signifier.
Gross.
Well, it was a signifier. It had its own, versus Earth 1, which honestly, for non-DC readers, trying to differentiate between what's Earth 1 or what's Earth Prime, what's Earth 2, our assumption, my assumption going into it would be that, the main DCU is Earth 1, except for it's not Earth 1, it's Earth 3. Is it? I don't know.
I think it's Earth Prime.
No, but I thought Earth Prime was supposed to be the one that's actually our Earth. Like,
yeah, they changed that. Yeah, during Convergence,
Yeah,
that's when they changed it to Earth Prime. Yeah.
okay. Yeah. So, like, Superboy Prime was a Superboy that was from our world. That's why he was so freakishly strong, and why he didn't really have any enemies. But it was always kind of convoluted. Like, which one was the fucking, crime syndicate Earth? Was that
Earth 3?
I thought that. Yeah, see, I always thought that was Earth 2. See, so I'm fucking confused. So doing an Earth 1 line, I think it wasn't going to draw in the new readers that weren't reading, DC. All-Star was. I mean, it was designed for that, to an entry point for a new generation of readers, their own universe. Except for it never manifested like that because nobody wanted to work together. So I just don't understand why they're still doing it.
Well, I'll tell you, you said that the All-Star and that stuff was supposed to bring in, newer readers who weren't, into the things, maybe draw them in with that. To me, if they are doing this and with who seems to be involved, this is the let's get people back, not new readers, but people who have lapsed. And hey, when I talk to people about DC Comics, they don't just say, oh, the books aren't that great right now. They say, I'm done with them, with these writers, with the way that it's run. I'm done. I think this is their idea of, listen, everybody, the nonsense is over there. This is your alternative, and maybe try to wean them back in through that. And like I said,
what creators are you hearing about, Jim?
Just Jason Aaron, what's it called, Scott Snyder, obviously. Al Ewing is kind of a different deal, but still, these are better than 99.9% of the ones doing the regular books right now. Those are the three that I hear, and then even Mark Waid and Dan Mora getting folded in.
My question then for them is, why do you need to do this? You just,
I know.
Okay, you had New 52, and then you had DCU, which drove everybody out, and you did Rebirth, which brought them all back.
Yeah.
And then you abandoned that for whatever the hell they...
And that's the thing. I agree. And right now, it is the era of whatever this is. Because after Death Metal, they seem to have a plan. We almost were going to have that Generations deal with the 5G. But with the Generations deal, you would have had almost, an Earth 1 type of section and this. And that might have done better, whatever. But it is just a grab bag now, and a grab bag of shit at points. So I think that this is, again, an opportunity for, hey, everybody, if you don't like what we're doing, but you're putting it against your main line, which I think that this new thing could do better. And then what do? Do you fold everything? I don't know.
Your alternate universe becomes your main universe?
Exactly. And I heard that it was going to be a full-out reboot, and they're saying that it wouldn't be that. I don't even know if that wouldn't be the solution. I'm telling you, it's so bad right now of not just people buying or reading, people avoiding. Like, it's one thing to say, I don't like the books. At least then you're reading them. But I talk to people, and they do not want to get near DC if it's going to stay like what they say. It stays like this, I'm done. Maybe this is the way to, hey, just read this. But I think the brand itself is tainted really bad.
When you go to there, though, I have to ask, as a non-DC guy, you've seen them do this with New 52 and then DCU. Then Rebirth, then whatever they're doing, then Year of the Villain, like 5G. then
Future State,
Dawn-
and then what we have this, and Dawn of DC,
Dawn of
Infinite
DC
Frontiers, yeah.
Yeah, Dawn of DC, and then immediately back to the shit. Does this not feel like it's yet another, like, hey, let's win them back just so we can swerve on them again?
Let me
All
ask
it takes is
swerving
one
to-
bad panel, one bad page
Yep.
to them to completely change course. Look at Black Label. Look at the Batawang. That's all it took. And they're like,
Yeah.
no, it's not going to be that hardcore. No, we're going to go back. No, don't worry.
Yeah.
Well, they also
People
immediately
like the
broke the
Battle
promise. Yeah, they also immediately broke the promise on Black Label, just shortly after their announcement. They're like, only the best talent. And then they were like, oh, and Kelly Sue DeConnick. And so right out of the
Yeah.
gate, you were launching, and it was like obvious what you were doing. It was like you have A-list talent, and then you were like, oh no, Twitter's going to be mad that there's no female creators. Kelly Sue DeConnick. And you put her in with, people that she didn't have any right being mentioned in the same conversation with. So right out of the gate, they shot themselves in the foot with that. How many times are they going to do this?
Can I ask a question about this? Is this something that's been planned, or are they just doing it because they saw what happened with Ultimate Spider-Man?
This is something that's been in the works. From my understanding, it's been rumored for like 5 years that Scott Snyder wanted to do, but hadn't gotten fully the traction. Then he left DC, but now apparently he's going to come back, and they're going to go along with it. I almost get the feeling, because I had not heard Mark Waid's name at all, that maybe they're starting to make it bigger, and they're bringing him in because of what happened with Ultimate Spider-Man. It feels like it's last minute or more recent planning that's adding him to the mix.
Yeah, it was weird. At one point, it
Yeah,
seemed like it was going to be announced at New York Comic Con. It looked like they were going to announce, and then all of a sudden they didn't, and it was weird. It was like, oh, maybe that wasn't true. And then, I've talked to a couple people, and they said, oh yeah, they're dealing with things and semantics and things, but I think it is really getting together, and they think. And with Ultimate Spider-Man, like you said, I think maybe this is the thing that can bring people back. Maybe this will be the big stuff.
But isn't this like, okay, let's say, assuming Wade and Mora weren't originally part of the plan, does this not just scream we still don't have a plan? We have the vague generalities of a plan.
Oh yeah.
But we're going
we're gonna
to
rush
change
through it.
this plan. We're going to change this plan on a fucking dime, based on minor,
It is.
anything. Like, and we still don't have a, like, I mean, I give Marvel shit for how much they don't deviate from their publishing plans. Like, the fucking Excalibur, Betsy Braddock, Captain Marvel, Tinny Howard thing. They absolutely refuse to budge from that storyline direction. They just did it through rebooting and renaming the title on multiple occasions so that they could avoid actually deviating. But DC, it seems like it's the complete opposite direction, where they have a vague generality of a plan, and then they just completely just react.
I'll tell you what DC
Yeah,
does and why they're wrong. Just they don't do the full. They don't get everything in. They half-ass it. They say, "Oh, it's kind of different." So everything by this point seems like, oh my God, they reboot every 2 years when they don't really. They always pull back a little, and it's infuriating. And then you get to the point where it's a mess, like it is now. But sorry, Drew.
And to your guys' point, if you listen to Rob's episode, that podcast, he talked about creators who turned it down. So it leads me to believe that they don't really have a solid plan for this if creators are turning this down.
Yeah.
Just like X-Men, it sounds like they're like, oh, we're going to relaunch the X-Men, but they couldn't get anybody to sign on board.
Yeah, you said that. Even people saying that they were offered Batman and turned it down. I mean, it's crazy.
Does it seem like even the creators at this point don't believe anything? Like they either believe that you are going to die on the hill of whatever your plan is.
Well, then also with plans and stuff, just when Rebirth came about, I think that one of the reasons why people went in full and loved Rebirth was because DC actually came out and said, we're sorry. we fucked up. We're going to do this. Now with this Ultimates deal, it's almost like they should say that again, but they won't even stop what's going on. Like they won't even admit that what's going on right now is a failure. So we'll just add this other thing that people might like and still have the other. And it starts to, like you said, it starts to not feel like they're really
reactive.
committed. Yeah, it's reactive.
It's reactive rather than planned.
Yeah, same thing they do with Doomsday Clock.
Yeah,
it completely changed over the course of the title.
And Doomsday Clock is, just as an aside, one of the reasons behind the scenes that Scott Snyder flipped his lid and eventually did leave, because he was told that his metal stuff was the big thing and Doomsday Clock was done. It wouldn't be anything in the continuity, and they started pushing the idea, and he wanted to be like the Jeff Johns architect of the unit, and they kept stringing him on and never really let him do it, and he bailed. That's why he ended up leaving, and now they bring him back, and it makes sense. Now he's going to be the architect of a different universe, so it works out.
Does it though? 10 years too late.
For him, I guess he's like, at least I got my flowers finally. I don't know.
Like 10 years after I wrote my last decent.
It doesn't work out for us.
I mean,
when Death Metal ended, and everybody, I mean, a lot of people got fired at that point. Dio, all them, and you could see they fired people without a plan, and it still affects them now. They didn't have a plan. They fired everybody who actually had a plan, and then afterwards thought
to do 5G.
Yeah.
It still went with it.
Still goes with it. That's the problem.
Yeah.
They went and fired all these people, and then sat around. Okay, what are our ideas? Oh shit! Go look at his desk. They were like rooting through the file cabinet, just grabbing random shit and throwing it out. We still have things that feel like they were from that point suddenly coming about. And since Death Metal, Joshua Williamson, who I'm back and forth with, he ends up presenting ideas like, what happened with, Roy Harper being a Black Lantern? Like, things just get pushed aside because they were spitballing shit, and that's why it's a convoluted mess now. It's getting a little better, but still.
Is it though?
Well, I'm saying not a mess. Things are getting more synergy again, but it took all this time.
I would rather the DC universe be based on Doomsday Clock than on Death Metal.
Yeah,
like that going forward. Like that was the right. If there was people inside that were saying like we need to go with Doomsday Clock, those people were right.
They were,
because Death Metal is just this grim nihilistic. Like what who. And I'm so tired of everything being so cosmic. Like, everything with Scott Snyder is you go back to the beginning of time and God breathed life into the universe and said there shall be a bat. And, it's like it doesn't need to be that complicated. A guy's parents get shot in an alley. He decides to become a bat. You don't need to make it bigger than that.
A planet gets overmined and ecologically destroyed and then collapses, and the science parents send their kid off and just shoot him into space and just hope he lands somewhere.
If somebody could have kept Jeff Johns on schedule, it would be a totally different landscape of things right now. Because remember, it was supposed to be that at the end of Doomsday Clock, the books would then go to that timeline deal and go forward, and they couldn't do anything because of the scheduling. It just got schedules from hell and delays, and so they bailed, then brought it back. Again, they never have a solid plan.
I did enjoy Jeff Johns going out there and apologizing to everybody, explaining to him, we know exactly what we did wrong. We did this and this wrong, and this is how we're going to fix it. We're going to get the very best versions of your heroes. We're going to put them all in one shared universe. We've got a 2-year plan. We're leading up to Doomsday Clock. Basically placing the elements of Watchmen into the DC Comics universe. We're going to end it with the 3 Jokers, and it was all structured and planned out. And I was like, yeah, that's what I want. It felt like they actually cared what the people thought. But I don't imagine we're going to get the Scott Snyder. We fucked up moment.
No, and when you had
Jeff
Johns doing it, it did seem sincere, even if it wasn't. But now, and also, people hated, loved, whatever, Dan Didio, when he said it, like, at least you listen, but who would come out and talk about it now? Scott Snyder, people are like, all right, Jim Lee gonna get off his ass and have a video about it? He's not. And so you just kind of are left guessing and wondering, and it never feels like it's like a big thing to them, so why would it be a big thing to us? And people start making, here we are, we're trying to figure out what it is and trying to do our best.
But we're getting Chip Zdarsky on the 3 Jokers. Isn't that lovely?
Yeah, that's another stab in the deal. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Joker year 1. Yeah. They need to do something, right?
Joker
Yeah.
life story.
Like they just, we were talking about this, Jim, where they just relaunched or rebooted Flash to a #1 issue, and it sounds like it's not going to make it to 10 issues.
Yeah. And
Well, you
people
put
wouldn't-
Cy Spurrier on it. What'd you think was going to happen?
The worst about that, again, I think we talked about it on the show, or me and Wes talked about it, is he legitimately, in an interview, said, I pitched something that was so fucked up because I didn't have time to do it, but I didn't want to turn it down because that would look bad. And they said yes. And he had to oh, shit. And that's what we're getting. It's bad.
Yeah. I think bad is an understatement for this book, but okay.
Yeah, it's
Unreadable
It's
as
mind
ever.
bender. It's like Chris Angel mind freaked me every time I read that book. Came out this week, but yeah, the problem
You can
of
do
all of
weird,
this,
but
yeah.
you have to be talented enough to do weird.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
Exactly.
Wish.com, Warren Ellis is just not capable
and it's
of
true.
pulling it off.
It's doing that without the foundation of some decent chops and a good story. It just seems like you're just throwing wacky stuff at people, and I don't like getting wacky things thrown at me. It's just me.
Wacky and dark for the sake of being dark. I mean,
Yeah.
alluding to and hinting at maybe in that very first issue that Wally and his wife may be
Yep.
breaking up or getting a divorce. Like, fuck this. You're not
Yeah.
doing this again. We're not going down
And-
this path.
And then you have the kids, and they seem darker. It's just, I don't know. This
Yeah, and this
people have
last
read
issue,
this week.
holy
Holy
crap,
moly.
his son's turning into like a little sociopath. It's crazy.
Did you sit there and read that, and you're like, oh, classic Jay? Like, he sounds like he is some insane guy who's way too smart for himself and is now going to start killing animals and be a serial killer.
Yeah, I
it
was
threw
waiting
me
for him to
off.
bust into the school with a machine gun. It's crazy.
Yeah,
It was
really.
nuts.
It was bad. But again, these are the people who I think that when you get a ultimate type universe, it's going to be tough because I think a lot of people will go to that. But what do you do? I mean, besides the idea of us talking about if this will happen and who's involved, what would be the plan if the Ultimate Universe comes out and is a huge success? What do you do with the red? This is what I thought about 5G. When they were going to have that 5G generation and then, we're going to have Classic Bat. What would you do if all the other stuff killed it and the 5G stuff that you really want to push fails? And what happens now if everybody goes to this Ultimate stuff and the regular line fails? Do you just end up making some event to bring it in and then people will be pissed? It's a weird play.
I actually think that they do exactly what Marvel did with the Ultimate line back in 2004.
Yeah.
By that point, the Ultimate Marvel line was outselling the conventional 616 line. So that's when they decided, and there was a lot of talk the same time. There was a lot of talk about, the Ultimate Marvel line is going to just replace the 616 universe. It's going to be, they're just going to end that universe and continue with the Ultimate line. That didn't happen. What they did was instead they just moved all the creatives that made the Ultimate line great and moved them over to the main line. That's why you got Ed Brubaker. That's why you got Mark Miller. That's why you got Brian Bendis at the time. That's why you got Warren Ellis. That's why you got all the artists move over to the 616.
And you say Warren Ellis, I think that this is a really good opportunity to give the guy a second chance and bring him back and put him in this Ultimate deal. It'd be so good. And that would get a lot of hype. But I really do think, I'll just keep saying that, I think that eventually as this goes forward, I think they're going to start to get worried and get little, almost let's not go full. It's weird, but I would have Warren Ellis on it immediately.
Yeah, the thing with Warren Ellis, the last thing I remember reading from him was his Wildstorm take with DC, and I wasn't the biggest fan of that. It was different.
Yeah. It was different.
So
the Wildstorm.
Yes.
Yeah.
And remember though, he was supposed to continue on and do Wildcat, the relaunch Wildcats with guy that kind of draws like Dollar Store Frank Quietly mixed with Raphael Grandpa. No, it wasn't the guy that showed his butthole. Raphael.
That was me.
No, that was the guy that did the
Spider Girl,
Spider Gwen design.
Robbie Rodriguez.
Yeah,
Yes.
not the butthole.
Oh, wait,
guy.
Robbie Rodriguez is Ghost Rider. right? No,
No,
Robbie
that's
Reyes.
Robbie
Reyes.
Reyes.
Okay.
Not the butthole guy, the guy that's dollar store Frank Quitely.
The one that came out and tried to cancel Glenn said he looks like he
Yes.
smelled like piss.
Yeah, the fat guy.
Oh, God.
The guy that actually does look, hey, I'm a fat guy. That guy makes me look skinny, so I'm good with that.
Oh, Doc, that guy, you got nothing on that guy. That guy
I know,
is,
right?
that guy's a flabalanche.
Yeah. And so that guy was supposed to be the artist on Wildcats, and that's when the whole Warren Ellis Me Too thing happened. And then they canceled that book. But I think the fat guy was also just they had already delayed it because he wasn't drawing it because he was too busy yelling at people on the internet to draw his comic book.
Ramon Villalobos?
Yeah, that's him.
That's it. Yeah,
That's it.
none of us could be bothered to know his name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the priorities. Yeah.
And so he that was the end of Warren. I mean, maybe he was going to do something cool without the Wildcats after the Wildstorm, but the Wildstorm was just mediocre at best. And then, well, I like Brian Edward Hill, but that fucking Death Blow Michael Cray book was fucking awful.
That was bad.
So what do we think, Drew? Do we think is Scott Snyder still a draw? I mean, he's still had like the last biggest run on Batman, I guess, but
I maybe I don't know. I mean, he has. I don't know if he's still
It's
doing.
been a while
Noctera.
since he had a
Is that
hit.
still- yeah, it's been a while. I mean, Noctura was a big hit for a while, but that really died out pretty quick. And then that apocalyptic book he did with Charles Soule, that died out pretty quick. It's like a lot of the books start out strong, but then they just die out fast, like a fire. It's ridiculous.
Nobody's interested in his Netflix pitches. That's really the.
Yeah, he seriously, you're right, Aaron. He had like 5 books go to IDW that were straight up Netflix pitches, and they all died after like the second issue. And it's really
Even that one.
he's got slivers of ideas, and he's stretching those out to maybe a half idea, and they just don't work. They collapse upon themselves like a star. It's ridiculous.
Well, and his pitch for Batman that he put out online doesn't sound exciting. It sounded like it's
Robin.
Gonna be a bunch. Yeah, well, it sounded like it's going to be a bunch of, what is Batman about? Now, how do I subvert all those expectations? I want a less militarized, less armored, more commando type Batman. Okay, so it's going to be,
Less
we're going to get
gadgets.
poor
More
Batman.
agile.
And, knowing how much Scott Snyder tries to, he's unfortunately, he's a straight white male in the comic books industry, and he's still terrified about that. So we're going to get probably like, oh, what if Batman were like what if it was like Black Lives Matter Batman? What if his parents were killed at a protest? What if his parents were, killed by the police? What if Catwoman
What if he's
were
not Bruce
Clayface?
Wayne?
Yeah, what if he's not Bruce
Right.
Wayne? What if
That's
what if
what I was
Robin?
gonna
What if the Joker is Batman? What if Joker is Lex Luthor? What if Batman's poor and Joker's rich? Like those are the kind of like thought processes that you can see like being played out.
Yeah.
And with his suggestions online, and it's not going to be good. Like,
I think that he reacts to things though. I think it's going to feel a lot like maybe a knockoff Mark Miller universe, but I don't know that wouldn't be good.
Well,
yeah.
Looking at it, that's what Ultimate Marvel is currently.
Mhm.
It's dollar store Millerverse, Miller World without Mark's genius, and instead it's just Jonathan Hickman's world building. So I wouldn't be
it lacks
surprised.
the fun. It's like you've got that big idea, but you lack the fun. That oh my god, that's so cool.
Yeah.
It lacks that.
Yeah, and I have an expectation because Scott Snyder, in my opinion, he's Jonathan Hickman light. Not really. Honestly, he has some decent ideas. Although at the same time, he still only has the same 3 ideas that he just keeps regurgitating.
Yeah.
So
I think though, going back to what Wes asked, I think that Scott Snyder, the one thing he does have is he was kind of at DC right before it really went bad, and maybe people would look at him as like, oh yeah, like him leaving, then we got all this really bad stuff. Not saying it was good when he was there and right as at the end of that, but he was still Rebirth stuff and going from it. Maybe it's like their little like wink, wink of a reset, but I don't know that people would think that. It kind
He
of.
was one of the guys pushing back against Didio with the 5G thing. He and Tynan.
That's what I'm saying.
No, Tynan wanted nothing to do with it.
And Scott Snyder didn't either. I actually, for a full deal, he told me, quote, 5G's bullshit, is what he told me at one point, like a DM. And I'm like, yeah, it kind of sounds like that. But it had a bit of a plan, but they were still trying to work it because it was never really announced fully. And then Didio got fired, and then they tried to grab the scraps.
Well, they still used the scraps.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
They still published it. It just did it.
And then it was
future state.
the bad
And
version
again, they
of it.
stopped
Right?
their whole line. They stopped their whole line to publish it.
Yeah.
They keep doing that, and when they come back, they have less readers. Like,
Yep.
stop
Yeah.
doing that. Stop giving people a jumping off point. Stop breaking their habit. Every reboot is a chance for more people to jump off. You know,
Even
I
with-
checked out
yeah.
the new 52. I was with it for about 6 months, and I was like, this isn't my DC universe. I don't care anymore. They got me back for Rebirth. Then they ruined that. And now I just don't care. I pick up a book on occasion if I think there's a good run going. You know, you put Jeremy Adams on something, I'm going to check it out. You know, just somebody who I think is going to write a solid story that's going to feel like it still fits in the DC universe that I cared about. But they just keep giving me less and less reasons to care. And I don't care about this. I don't give a crap about a DC Ultimates universe led by Scott Snyder. I really don't.
How many times can they cock tease you, and then like blue ball you before it's
And yeah.
you stop?
DC just
you
touches
stop.
you in the morning and then just walks away.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah. If you think about it, that death metal ended with saying, hey, listen, we're opening up the timeline. It's going to be not a reboot, but kind of everything involved. Open up the timeline. Oh, man, what's that all about? Oh, by the way, we're going to take 2 months to show you a possible future of nonsense. And then when you came back, nobody was around. They're like, what the fuck happened? They didn't even, if they took those 2 months to say, okay, here's what we're going to call DC Universe, you know, intro or something to show you what that new timeline meant and give stories classic stuff melded into what would be now a new timeline, I think it would have been a little better. But this future stuff was what everybody was worried that it was going to turn into. But now it's an event that doesn't matter. Didn't make sense.
See, it's weird.
oh, go ahead.
You know what's weird about that as well, Jim, is they introduced some concepts in there that, like John Kent Superman and Yara Flor were in a relationship.
Yep.
Which is completely contradictory.
Hey, what happened there?
Continuity.
Well,
Yara Flor, they launched a book with her. They launched a book with Jace Fox. But then they undid all the stuff that supposedly was going to be the future. And it was like, well, what did it mean then?
People are even saying now, I mean, to show how crazy, people are saying that this week's, you know, the Beast World, what happens in there, I don't want to spoil things, but what happens kind of pushes towards what happened in the stuff in Future State. And I'm talking about Raven. I won't go that full in, but it's like, can't you get past that, or does it mean that nobody knows now? And yeah, you ended up introducing things that seemed to be popular, or what, and it didn't matter. Then it didn't work. Then it just was nothing.
And then they did the Batman storyline that was going to happen in the future happen in Detective Comics.
Then the Magistrate, and all of a sudden now it's here. And when you come out of Future State, all I kept thinking to myself is, all right, that sucked, and I can't wait to see the little bits and pieces that show me that never will happen. Let's avert that. And you could have made it a full-out line thing of trying to, but then all of a sudden it became the thing. But before, other books were the.
Well, this feels like the same exact fuck up that Marvel did on House and Powers. Yeah. Where they like introduce this like future, this 1,000 years from now, and you expect that the next few years of their publishing will look to either avoid or reach that future, and then they just kind of don't, and then they just jump to it again.
And you want to hear something I just thought of? They tried to redo the Doomsday Clock deal. Because you had that future Doomsday Clock story that the books would eventually lead to, and then see how that works. And they even tried to slip that in as a concept, but they didn't know how to do it, and it didn't make sense.
Yeah, and then
slipping that into his JSA run and the Flashpoint Beyond, and that just got dropped like a bad habit. It's like, okay, I guess we're not going anywhere with this anymore.
Yeah.
So I mean, the worst thing is they keep tying back to this terrible stuff. Have you seen this one, Drew? They're going to do a Nightwing annual about the origins of B from the Rick Grayson story.
Who gives a shit? Who was this?
I thought you.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
Who is that?
She's
Yeah.
the pirate princess of Bloodhaven, apparently.
Jesus,
I bet
Christ.
Doc thought it was Bumblebee
What?
at first.
Okay, I don't read DC, but what the
That's
what
bad.
the actual fuck?
Well,
When
Doc,
Dick
just think of
Grayson
this.
got amnesia, he fell in love with a girl named B that worked at the bar that hired him. And once he found out he was actually Dick Grayson and he had some Barbara Gordon in Firestar in his future, he realized this was a huge mistake, like Job, moved on with his life. And then 3 years later, he gets in a pirating adventure, and it turns out
Pirate.
that B
So
was a pirate princess.
Wait, hold on.
Drew
hold on.
is loving it.
Perfect romance.
It's like but I like to think if you are a good
Those
writer,
cheesy
clearly
Harlequin
Tom
romance
Taylor
books.
isn't. If you say these plot points out loud, and if you're laughing, say these plot points, this is not a good plot. This
Yeah,
is not
no.
a good story.
Wait, hold on. So let me see if I understand this. Guy gets amnesia, starts hooking up with a chick, gets his memory back, realizes I can get way hotter and way better than this chick, upgrades, and as like her way of getting back at him
No.
getting ghosted, she becomes a pirate.
No, she was always
No,
a
So she was
pirate.
always a pirate, Doc.
princess.
He's always a pirate.
Yeah.
Her dad
but ran
was
a bar.
pirate, but she ran a bar. It wasn't a pirate themed bar. It was just a bar. Where he played-
Oh, see, that's the really disappointing part, is that it wasn't pirate.
Yeah, that would
And then when
Hey,
Dick Grayson was Rick Grayson, he had a piece of information that he put into the pirate. I don't know how to do the hole. That's right. It was like a vault where they would keep their
Safety
secrets for
deposit
you.
boxes is what
Yes.
it seems to be.
I can't
And they-
with this.
And Heartless killed the quartermaster, who's the lead pirate. And
Beast,
it turns out the
stepdad.
quartermaster's daughter is B because she was the pirate princess.
But then her brother was bad, and he tried to take over, and then B
Yes.
seemed to be dead, but now she's not. There you
Her
go.
name is
I'm
B.
laughing. I'm crying. laughing right now. This is
B.E.A.B..
hysterical.
Now, and it makes sense. I mean, usually
Yeah.
when the biggest things happen, like great stories of all time, you usually think back at what was the worst story that ever was told with that character, and then continue it. That's what I
Yeah.
always thought, because it is the worst era of Nightwing, bar none. It really is. I mean, I know that people say some stuff with what's her name, Grayson, but still, I think that this is the worst. And yeah, they're continuing it.
In fairness, Marvel just did the exact same thing with deciding to drag up the Draco again. So, sure, why the fuck not?
Why wasn't Mystique a pirate princess? It would have made it look better.
Yeah, I mean,
No, it was
never-
Kate Pride
but
that was
did-
our pirate
but did
princess. with the knuckle
Draco-
tap.
Did Draco become
What
a
is with the
pirate?
pirate shit?
Yeah,
I don't
this is what I'm
understand.
saying. That's
Who's a
out of
fucking pirate
nowhere.
now?
Hey,
The
hold
idea
on,
of
hold on,
pirates.
hold on. Nightcrawler got all swashbuckly. Nightcrawler,
But even like Nightcrawler was like, Nightcrawler was always like a big fan of Errol Flynn movies, so it was like it made sense. It wasn't just. I'll tell you guys something interesting. When I was at Boom Studios, the editorial pool used to joke that management would always like come up with this brilliant idea that was an idea that everybody else had 3 years ago. So there was a point where 4 years after Pirates of the Caribbean was popular, they were coming in and going, we should do a book called Pirate Tales, just all about pirates. And it was like, oh, Ross finally got around to seeing Pirates of the Caribbean. And that's how I feel like that's how DC works. Like DC is always like, hey, what did Marvel do 4 years ago? Okay, let's do that. Hey, what did Marvel fail with 4 years ago? Let's do that.
Yeah.
Don't blame this on one.
But we're gonna have a Nightwing annual that's gonna
Pirates.
be Dia's fucking origin story.
I think and the origin story we already got. She got
I thought
adopted
so.
by the Pirate King.
I thought that was what it was, but apparently there's
She,
more to it.
she also was the Little Mermaid.
There's a pirate
Maybe
king,
that's what we'll
Jim?
find out. Yeah, a pirate.
His name was the Quartermaster. Yeah.
The Quartermaster. It was Fabio. I think.
He got
Everybody
killed
wants
by
to fight.
Heartless, but Nightwing still hasn't caught Heartless.
No,
But
he's got
yeah,
more important
That's
things
the
to do.
thing, though. If you remember at the end of the pirate adventure, B almost alludes to, I'll take care of Heartless. Says, if you find Heartless, you leave him for me because now you have her motivation, killed her stepdad, the Pirate King, the Quartermaster. Nightwing doesn't do anything in his own book, so I assume
No.
that's just going to happen.
He gets
Since
together
you're
for,
not gonna do it,
lollipops with John
lollipops with
Kidd,
John.
you know,
Yeah.
while Heartless is out, killing people. Good job.
But hey, it's the best book of DC right now, according to a lot of critics. So yeah, that's a thumbs up.
Bruno
Put that in air
Redondo's been
quotes.
off the book for like 10 months or something. It ain't been very good. Yeah. All right, let's hear it for the people since we had a good laugh at that. Dylan says, "Hello, everyone. Glad I could catch the show live. I'm the goddamn Batman. As crazy as it was, I actually did enjoy All-Star Batman.
Yeah, me
I
too.
like when Robin ate rats. That was cool.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't want to feed their adopted orphan stepchild?
No, I've thought of it.
It really went a long way to making Batman sympathetic. You were just like, oh, I like this guy.
Yeah.
What were they thinking? All right, Adam Frey. One of DC's problems is they can't shit or get off the pot with completely rebooting continuity and preserving everything since 1938. Like New 52 reset history, except Batman and Green Lantern continued their runs.
True. It's true.
They always do try to have their cake and eat it too, and they like try and pick and choose.
And then you get to a point where you picked and choose so many times that you have no clue what's going on. And that's where we're
And they smack that cake right in her face.
Yep. Yeah.
Here's a bold direction. Hire
like
some talented editors that keep creators, that like know how to pick good creators to be on the book and are able to work with them to put the best version of the writer's ideas out in the comics. That's the
real
reboot
crisis.
that you need. You don't need to reboot continuity again. You need to reboot your goddamn company.
Yep. And they should fire a lot of people right now. They don't have a lot of editors left. Nobody wants to even get involved because what do they
just
do
lost
anymore?
all their Batman editors.
Yeah, and so that's even more. Word on the street was they even had Night Terrors with a K as an event to get the editors to be allowed to catch up, and now a bunch left. I mean, it's bad.
I would love to hear a good interview from Ben Abernathy. Like, I want to know the inside shit, like what was going on in the bad offices when you were there.
Unfortunately, he had to sign an NDA. True.
Damn it!
You want to hear the story behind Gotham War?
Actually, yes. I want to know the shitstorm
It had to
behind
be
the
better.
shitstorm.
Had to be better than the story in front of Gotham War because that sucked.
I want to know how bad this shit show was. That's what I want to know.
That the comic was bad enough. I don't know if I need the director's cut on that one. I'll just assume that it didn't go well.
I actually just think you get a lot of, their hands were tied.
Sometimes the story behind the train wreck of making the movie is more interesting than the movie itself. Like, I want to Dr.
Don
Moreau.
Quixote.
The story behind making that shit show is more interesting than the film itself.
Yeah, it definitely is. the Brando version. Oh, it's such a shit show behind the scenes. It's delightful.
Well, Apocalypse Now is a classic, but the documentary is almost better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
just because he did almost kill those guys with the stress. Eric O'Sullivan.
Cocaine every day. Yeah.
The Sultan of Soup himself. Dawn of DC trade dress is no longer on covers. It's over. Did it do anything significant? Did it accomplish anything? I wasn't reading before Dark Crisis for a few years. So what was the impact? Well, it did Lazarus Planet and I guess Night Terrors.
Night Terrors ruled, like all the momentum got shoved out with that
100%.
Night Terrors. Yeah. And they said when it was originally introduced, it was supposed to be a year-long initiative. If you remember, it'll be a year-long we'll introduce books up. But they do this. At one point, the New 52 kind of disappeared off the trade, and then a little bit later, we got the DC YOU. But they play around with that a lot.
It was definitely on brand. If it was the dawn of DC, it was the dawn of modern DC, and that they came out, they immediately fumbled the ball. They fell flat on their face, and now we get to reboot again with an Ultimate Universe, or we get some new half-assed direction that they'll go in for 6 months before deciding to do something else.
And what I'm worried about is when you had Dawn of DC, a lot of us liked some of the books. We had Jeremy Adams on Flash. Most people really like that. But when you would try to push that on, hey, oh my God, you got to read Jeremy Adams Flash. It's really good. It's Wally West. And they're like, I got burned by Rebirth. It ends up being a reality where people don't go to the next thing. They've already bailed, and it's tough to get them back. And I think that's the biggest problem right now.
Yeah, I don't know what the impact was.
Yeah, because
They
remember,
got
people
a
were
press
so
release.
upset, about Wally West, and then you said about Jeremy Adams, like, this is the Wally West you would have wanted at the beginning. They were already burned. They said they didn't want to get involved, and then unfortunately, when they did finally get involved, it was too late, and now we get Cy Spurrier.
Well, he was going back down that Tom King path of Heroes in Crisis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
a rough
yeah.
read.
Yeah.
Caleb says, I'm not holding my breath. I imagine this is
No.
for the DC Ultimate Universe.
I am.
Good call. Yeah, don't
Right
do
now, I'm starting.
Jim, you're not excited? You kind of specialize
No,
on
I said-
DC Comics over Marvel.
This is the thing. All I want is for DC to do something that people like because, yeah, I do a lot of stuff
Yes.
DC. So it is kind of selfish. But the reason why I do so, I love DC Comics, and it's tough to try to, I don't push it in a way like I'm a cheerleader or anything, but I do want people to get involved. And when I see things like, again, that Jeremy Adams Flash, it kills me that they've ruined the faith that the readers had and no longer have it. It kills me that people won't even give something a chance because they've been burnt. And I don't blame them. And that's the problem. I wish I could, but I mean, I blame the people. DC, I blame fully. But that's what gets me sad about all this is I want people to love comics and I want people to love new comics. And it's to the point where it's such an uphill battle to get them to even read something that I know they would like.
Yeah, it's sad that people still think that Marvel has better heroes than DC.
Yeah, I mean, seriously. Or that Spider-Man has a better rogues gallery than Batman. I mean, it's nonsense.
Exactly. Ridiculous.
Crazy talk.
But I love
Everything-
Marvel as well. But Marvel gets a pass at points because they kind of like slip through that mid area. Like you're like, oh well, But DC really seems like they want to like just trigger people and want to go. And I hope that this is something different. I hope they have laid down the law of you don't do this, this, and this, which is basically don't do anything that we're doing currently in the main universe. But you never know.
Yeah. Whatever you think is a good idea, don't do it. That should be the rule. He also says,
I was just going to say, think if Megan Fitzmartin would do it, don't do it. Yeah, that's my rule.
Caleb says, if I announced something crazy like Birds of Prey save Henry Cavill, would you read that?
What?
No.
Is it a Substack
No.
newsletter? Is this like you releasing the
Did it?
chapters
You mean
on a...
save his?
I think they just are on
Like
like a
save him
mission
from
to
a
go
villain?
save them. It's like the A-Team.
What
I'm in.
Birds of Prey team is it? Is it the Kelly Thompson Birds of Prey team with Big
Yeah.
Barda and
No.
And
that,
is he,
that,
is he
that
Superman
book
in
is
this?
bad.
Bring back Condor. Everybody
It doesn't say
wants
Superman.
Condor.
It says Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
Are
Yeah,
they
well, I
saving
don't
him
like
from The
it. I mean,
Witcher?
I wouldn't because I don't like it when they bring actors into
Exactly.
And are
into
they
like the
gonna
DC universe. And they're like,
demasculize
like,
someone
and
here?
trying- yeah, and honestly, at this point, DC leave Henry Cavill alone. You've disappointed him
Exactly.
enough.
So you were a kid and you're watching Scooby-Doo and the Harlem Globetrotters showed up. You're like, fucking, I'm out.
That was
Turn on the
fine.
TV.
That was fine with Scooby
That was
Doo. It works.
different.
Batman and Robin show up.
You've-
I'm delighted.
You didn't like when
You
Urkel
killed
was in every show?
my ability to
The Addams Family.
believe in this universe.
It's like I can no longer buy into Scooby Doo
Exactly.
because Jerry Reed is on an episode. Who the hell is Jerry Reed?
R.I.P.
Those are always the best Scooby-Doo and Gilligan's Island episodes.
Gilligan.
When
I love it.
Look, I the thing with Scooby Doo is at some point, and this is the same for X Files. It's the same for any show that has a trope. It's like, okay, every episode of the X Files is something weird happens. Mulder goes, "Hey, I think it's this," and Scully goes, "Mulder, that's impossible." And then by the end of the episode, Mulder's proven right. Yet 20, 30 episodes in, when he, says, "I think it's this," Scully's still saying, "Mulder, that's impossible." When at this point she should be like, that seems impossible, but you have been right the last 29 straight times.
Yeah.
So
I saw an
I'm gonna go with you on
episode
this.
where she said, I think it's this, and Mulder said, that's
impossible.
completely impossible, and she was proven right.
It was a lot of the faith episodes.
Mhm.
Anything to do
Yes.
with like religious things. And yeah, she would often be right on those. Yeah.
Mhm.
And with Scooby Doo, it's like just whatever weird old man you met at the beginning of the adventure, it's him. He did it.
It's always that. Well, there was even that the bit on A Pup Named Scooby Doo, where
Mhm.
every single time they believed that it was the character Red Herring. It was like
That's
another, except for the one time, like Fred blames Red Herring. He accuses Red Herring every single episode,
Really?
except for one where it turns out it is Red Herring.
Scooby-Doo, the one time you should profile. You see the old guy at the beginning, you're like, it's him.
Right.
It's him. Just trail him. Get him.
Hey,
Is
do you
there
think
an
it might-
amusement park? Is there an amusement park or an old mill around here?
Did anybody see Kiss walking around? Because I think there's trouble go brew.
It's Mr. Calhoun, the old man that runs the haunted steel mill.
the middling kids.
The minute the guy buys the haunted steel mill, you arrest him. That's it.
It's always insured. It's always like in chat. I wanted to run everybody off and collect the insurance money. Oh, you damn kids.
Wasn't expecting a Scooby-Doo side adventure, but I guess that one was my fault.
I'm more of a Gilligan fan, but I still like Scooby as well.
Chris the Bliss from right here, the PI. Death metal was so meh, but it's a colorist wet dream.
I didn't read death metal, so
It was
a
pretty
lot of
dark, but
black.
you did get lots of different weird characters.
Got bloated. It was so good. It kind of started that trend too of these side books being in. It was.
The speed metal book was good though.
Some of them always end up being decent enough, but if you throw so many
That
out
was
there,
the only
but I
one that
agree.
was good.
metal was the one that I thought was the one that really led the side books to being,
Man,
because
yeah.
all the one shots with
Was
like
that
the
part of
different
the event.
the different
But we had one
Batman
with Bat
like,
Baby. We had Bat Baby.
but like literally from like the Forge all the way until with all the like
Yeah.
one-off
Yeah,
one-shot books, all of those are the only things I read in metal.
I'm still convinced that was just Scott Snyder trying to convince Greg Capullo that he was a tough guy. That's all I think of when I think of metal and death metal. It's like, look at me. Come
The
on,
thing I
Greg.
really liked about death metal was the baby Garo that thought Batman was his dad.
Oh, yeah, Starro was great. He wanted to be a Robin.
Yes.
They should have brought back him
That was
during
great.
the whole
That's
Beast
a character
world.
we
They
needed.
should have grabbed Starro to fight, and it would have been awesome.
He had a different name than Starro though.
Oh, it was,
fine.
yeah. What was it now? Yeah, now because I was saying that thinking that was the different name. You're right. Jarro. It was.
Jaro, that's
Yep.
who he was.
Yep.
And he wanted to be a detective?
Oh, yeah. He wanted to be Robin. At that one
Yeah.
point, he was daydreaming about being Robin. Might have been the greatest thing of
Yes.
like the past 10 years. It was awesome.
Love that.
Yep.
They should definitely bring Jaro back. He
Yeah,
was the best
I
part of the
agree.
event. Caleb says, "This is for Aaron. I know you met Ted DiBiase, but I've heard
Ted
stories about
Biaselli.
him."
Ted Biaselli. Although I have met Ted DiBiase.
I have too. I met Ted DiBiase.
I've heard stories about him. He's very two-faced and another worthless commie. Ted
I mean,
DiBiase is an ordained minister. Now he did get indicted, I think, recently.
No, his son.
No.
His son is.
It was
his son
fun.
got
It was
indicted.
okay.
Yeah.
It was his son.
His son was just trying to be $1 million man, and it didn't work out for him. No, Ted Biaselli is the producer. He's a producer at Netflix, and he is the producer on the He-Man show that Kevin Smith ruined that first season.
Bludgeoned.
Yeah. I have met Ted. Ted is he's a toy collector, so I run into him every now and then at shows. I've had long conversations about toys with him. In that respect, Ted is a really great guy. I don't know him any deeper than that. I've never worked with him. I don't. So I don't.
You
know
don't want to call him a
people-
worthless commie?
No, I certainly
Okay.
wouldn't. I would say that you know, as everything that I know about him is just very casual kind of acquaintance. But the guy loves action figures. He is really excited. He did, he did think he was doing a good job on the He-Man show. He didn't set out to make a bad show. So as far as anybody, kind of like capping on him for that, he did do what he thought was going to be, something that the fans would like. It didn't turn out that way. It turned out pretty divisive, but that's what happens when you hire a guy like Kevin Smith, who hasn't been relevant or on the fan side in decades. That's probably
Ted
probably
DiBiase
not
can't be a
wrong, but
commie because he's the ultimate fighter for capitalism. He's a $1 million man.
He is, and if you
Remember
don't do the
when
job,
he tried
you
to
don't
buy
get
the
paid.
belt off of Andre the Giant?
I
He
do.
did
And
buy it.
fucking
off.
Gorilla Monsoon had to
He
step
got it.
in.
Yeah, they had to vacate the title and set up a
Yes.
new tournament. Wow, crazy stuff. But no, as far as I know, Ted's a nice guy, but I don't know him all that well.
Money, 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 money. Right? He's so good. Terrence
I felt
Bernard.
bad because when I met Ted DiBiase and he signed some stuff for me, he was actually appearing with Virgil, and it was like,
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
yeah.
Of
I guess I'll pay for Virgil to be in the picture too.
Oh my goodness. Terrence Bernard, it's a great idea, but Snyder is so convoluted and can't stick the landing for the life of him. Plus, scraping the bottom of the barrel talent isn't DOA. Or it's DOA. Well, that's what they're doing. They are bringing in more talent. Jason
Yeah, I don't
Aaron,
think that's bottom
in
of the barrel.
theory, is better than
Yeah.
Megan Fitzmartin.
Wade.
Mark Wade is better, certainly, than like a Jadzia Axelrod. Al Ewing is certainly a better writer than Colin Kelly and Jackson Lanzig.
Yeah.
So at least they are attempting to put talent on it.
Teeny Howard
they're
isn't in
trying
it yet.
to.
Right.
Yeah, not yet.
I was gonna say,
people are
where's
turning
the
it
other
down.
one?
We do
Yeah,
have to
they're
get the
surprised.
formal announcements, yes.
Yeah.
So do you think it's weird that the very best and brightest that they're putting on these books, like every announcement is, middle-aged white guy?
Well,
Yeah.
Are we returning?
it seems
Are we returning
problematic
to?
me.
Are we returning to merit, where like a bunch of weirdos on Twitter can't,
Yeah, it's
make you
Marshall
just stitch
Comics.
Kelly Sue DeConnick in just because you need a female name attached?
Well,
Yeah.
Tom King's on Wonder Woman, so we're starting some different things. Not that I like it.
Hey, no, hold on. That's still a woman writing Wonder Woman.
Oh my.
Yes, I was gonna say, like, if you're like, hey, how come there's no women in this initiative? It's like, oh, quick, bring in Tom King.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because he writes strong women.
He has the same level of both testosterone and estrogen as a woman, so it's fine.
And it's funny when you go about it in a meta way, you end up having these newer characters. Like, say, even, Miss Marvel, they push it in the universe. Everybody's saying they're great, and then it fails. They did the same thing with these writers. They're great, and then they fail, and we're back to the normal deal. So,
I mean, there's people that love Tom King. They fall for the same trick over and over again.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Yeah, he's
You
got
know,
his
it's-
sycophants.
it's like AC/DC. You heard one song, you like it, you love them all.
Well, don't compare Tom King to AC/DC. That's disrespectful.
You hear one
We don't
song,
do that here.
and you love them all.
But as far as Scott Snyder goes, I think his biggest problem, Jim,
Yeah.
is that he thinks he has to outdo himself
Yep.
from the previous story. So he's
Yeah.
gone so big that, once you go bigger than like Court
Yeah,
of
he
Owls,
does.
and then you go bigger than Metal, like there's nowhere left to go until you get into the absolute absurd that you can't stick a landing because there's no landing to stick anymore.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that there's been a ton of times where I thought Scott Snyder, oh my God, that character work, really got me there. And it's
Superman in his Justice League was good.
Yeah, but he just goes, like you said, and he also, the problem with Scott Snyder, if you ask me, is I think he, even with the fame that he's gotten, I think that he's very insecure about what people think and what higher-ups think. And that's, again, that he wanted to be that architect, but I think it also goes with these events. Oh my God, I got to do this and be compared to Grant Morrison, so let me write like Grant Morrison. He's never satisfied to just be himself and just relax and tell some stories at points. He does seem like he's always trying to convince you that he's that much better than he was or before everybody else.
He's not trying to convince us. He's trying to convince himself.
And I think that's part of it, but I really think that he is, and I don't mind a writer being insecure and wanting to prove themselves and not going with all the hype, but I think that he is a guy who he just might think not much of himself. You're right, Doc. That's what
a guy that's secure in himself and is the top writer at DC at the time is not going to kowtow to a Heather Antos on Twitter.
No,
that's not somebody who's secure. That's somebody who's very insecure in their position.
He is very insecure.
Who's constantly looking over their shoulder. And I think that he does that creatively as well. I think that you guys are right. I think that he's so concerned with, I need to create this next great big story. This next story that's going to be read for, because you came out of the gate, you did Court of Owls, that keeps getting reprinted. People like it. It's, it's influenced all kinds of different Bat product throughout the, throughout different media. And I feel like, it's one of those things where it's like you peaked too soon. You came out, you told your really good story that you had, and you've been chasing that dragon ever since. And just sit down. Stop trying to recreate the wheel. Stop trying to write the next Watchmen. There's too many writers that set out and they're like, I'm going to write this big epic story. Just write a good story. And if it's big and it's epic, it'll keep going and people will be reading it 10, 20, 30 years from now.
I think
nobody
Tom King does that too.
Yeah, exactly. And nobody who actually has these seminal works within comics sat down thinking this is going to be reprinted for the next 40 years. They just thought, I'm going to, this is a cool story. I'm going to try and tell it as best I can. And it became a classic because people ended up liking it.
Yeah. Very nice. Caleb says, Wes, I love that video you did on things you've given up on, especially that remark about infinite lesbians, because they have ruined a lot. You know what's great about that video is I got so much feedback on it. There was a little call to action. I said I wanted to hear what you guys are done with. What personal grievance you have about comic books. And there was such an outpouring of grievances that I'm going to rack and stack them. And the next video is going to be comic shit that everyone is done with. And it'll be the stuff that you guys came up with. So you gave me another video to do.
When I was 14, I think I had a dream about infinite lesbians. I kind of remember that.
That was that's a much better and different dream. Than
It wasn't a grievance
the reality.
Oh God.
The reality is never as good as you imagined.
Yeah, let's
Super
be clear.
Camp
These are the lesbians from American Pie 2, not
Yeah.
the ones
Yeah.
that Marvel and DC.
Super Camp 1721. The problem with Scott Snyder is he thinks he is Chris Nolan. You go into looking for answers in the left with more questions than answers.
He's not wrong.
I like Chris Nolan. There's only one movie that he made
I
that
know.
was terrible, and that was the Backwoods movie, Tenet.
Yeah.
Yeah, good luck explaining that.
Aaron, where'd you go, Aaron?
Yes. I just clicked away for a second.
You're a comic book writer.
I was gonna
You've
get a
done
drink.
Some,
You called me back.
Some screenplay work. Did you watch Tenet?
I did. I can't.
Can you
tell
explain the movie, please?
I can't. I lost interest about halfway through and I didn't finish it.
Damn it. I don't
Can't
know what
explain it to you,
happened
I'm
there.
sorry.
I know Doc doesn't either because we had this conversation once.
Yeah. And I still don't remember what the thing
Sorry, Aaron, you
they
can get
had
some
to
water.
fix.
No, when you have an auteur and you give them complete creative control, sometimes they get up their own ass, and that's what I think happened on Tenet. You didn't have anybody. You were just like, "Yeah, Chris, just create," and he was like, "All right, I got this
He was
grand
trying
vision."
to outdo Inception.
Yeah, and it's
I
the
was like,
only
that might have been
you know,
the outer reaches of concept that you can actually explain within a 2-hour film.
yeah,
And
exactly
you had
right.
Leo. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
He's the fucking best. Jim, who's better than Leo?
Not many.
Canyon.
I love Leo. Keanu, maybe.
Carrie, who's better than Leo? And don't say Keanu. He's not better than Leo.
Say Chris Canyon.
The
You're
hell
gonna
with
hate
you.
me.
Nobody's better. Who better than Canyon?
Keanu.
Leo's okay. I'm not the biggest Leo fan. I liked him in Inception, but I'm not the biggest Leo fan. I do like Keanu though.
Listen, hey, if you want to give Leo crap for Titanic and The Beach and some of that early work that he did, you go for it. But once you hit The Aviator, it's fucking
It's
gold.
true.
From
He
there
is
on out.
awesome. He is a
He's
gem.
He's fallen into the Tom Hanks trap of just wanting to play like real
Tom
people all the
Hanks.
time now. He's trying to get another. He's trying to get another
You
Oscar.
didn't see
It's like-
Blood Diamond,
like-
did you?
I like
Nobody
Blood
saw
Diamond.
Blood Diamond would
Blood
say
Diamond
that,
was
Gary.
great. That was a good movie.
I still like Catch Me If You Can.
Yeah.
That's another great movie. That
They
one
are
is based
teaming
on a
up,
real
by the way.
person.
Somebody asked about Leo and Keanu. They're supposed to work on a TV series. I think Leo's producing.
Wow.
Is
Thank
it
God was in front of the
Berserker?
camera.
Is it
Yeah.
Berserker? Because that's
No.
coming any time now.
Yep.
That that's gonna be a big
No.
a big thing on Netflix.
Yeah, perhaps. Caleb says Zach did a video showing a tweet from T. Franklin. Did you know she's a mother? That's sick. I did know that she was a mother.
I'm not gonna get into anyone's kids on
Yeah.
this show.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
feel like
Exactly.
that might
I don't
be
think he's saying that her kid's sick. I think it's
No,
sick. That,
no.
He's saying it's sick that she's a mom, but
I-
hey,
yeah, no, but
Listen, some of us, as Wes and I can attest, some of us have bad moms.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
Yeah.
sometimes you draw a bad card in life.
Exactly.
Mhm.
it's
and
all about overcoming the odds, right, Jim?
I hate my mother. I tell you all the time. You never hear me. I
Oh,
can't stand her. I can't stand her. She's the worst.
I love my mother. I miss her dearly,
No,
but she
I hate
had a
my
lot
mother.
of faults.
I love my
Yeah.
mom too.
Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I wish I did. I wish I could lie. I can't.
I'm indifferent to my mother.
Yeah, I
my mother is basically modern comics. I'm
My-
just indifferent at this point.
My mom lives less than a mile away, and I have not talked to her or seen her in 12 years. And
So, Doc, how is it you end up being the most fucked up adult among us, and you're the one that had the great mom?
I did. I actually have my family's kind of nice.
It doesn't make any sense. I'm well adjusted. Sparrow's well adjusted. Jim's kind of well
Something.
adjusted.
Yeah.
Something.
I'm a little
Maybe good
Sure.
moms aren't necessary.
no, they're not. They can be good. They can be bad. I don't think I don't think genetics determines destiny, and I don't necessarily think that the best childhood or the worst childhood determines destiny either. Some
And
people
bad-
are just fucked up.
Bad moms can teach you very good lessons. You just have to not do what they did.
They become
Drew's mom's
cautionary.
also
It's
a
true.
gem, right, Drew?
Yeah, she raised 4 boys on her own.
That's
and,
awesome.
So she put the wrath of God into us if we messed up, and she got remarried a few years ago, and she's incredibly happy right now, and
Good.
we're happy. We're a good family. We're solid.
Yeah. My mom had 2 boys. She didn't raise at all. So it's just up to them.
No, my brother and I were basically feral when my
That's
mom made
what-
the one good decision
same
she
thing.
made in her life, which was to marry my stepdad, and he kept us from becoming criminals or or worse. He gave
My
us some
brothers and I
structure.
were very lucky. Our dad didn't step away.
Mhm.
He decided to put up with the nightmare.
It's the same with me. And for some point, I thought my dad was the bad guy. I didn't even realize, and then realized.
This is because you were manipulated. It
Yep,
happens.
exactly.
Mhm.
Fully.
Well,
And look
yeah.
what it led me to. Getting beat up and having pictures taken when I fall downstairs. I never learned. I'm trying to
No, the thing
recreate
about-
that
the thing about-
childhood.
You're man Taylor Swift, aren't you?
Yeah, I think I am.
This is good.
I
Why
can't
are we
wait for the
bashing on
Jim
Swift?
biopic film.
Oh, my goodness. We're all Swifties.
Yeah.
What?
God.
Just because you're a Kansas City fan and you have to defend her.
I've been a T Swift fan from back in the day. In fact, you know how Facebook does your memories or whatever?
Uh-huh.
So in 2012, when I was in Afghanistan, it showed me one of my memories, and I said, out here kicking ass for America and listen to T Swift. Does it get any better? Boom.
Well,
I feel like
I feel like it gets better. I feel like there's many
Yeah.
instances.
It's not too hard. Yeah.
you've set a low bar here, sir. But I feel like this was like a meme that you took too far.
I think so. I feel like it was ironic.
Talking about, I have little nieces and nephews that when Taylor Swift was blowing up, obviously her music is aimed at like younger little people, and they all loved it. And I had to
Little
listen
people.
to it, and I appreciate the T Swift.
Wes, you don't have to
dwarfs.
take this abuse. Just shake it off, okay?
Yeah.
Shake it off.
Shake it off.
That's why we got bad
Okay.
blood on here. My goodness. Whatever.
Oh,
Grateful
God.
Dog. Shout out to Stan Sakai for being true to himself and creating great stories all over the years. Nottingham returns in April. Great panel.
Woo! Very much. Can't wait.
Stan Sakai is a Jim, isn't he?
yeah.
We've currently
Yeah,
got
great guy.
Usagi Yojimbo in space. Not from IDW, but from Dark Horse now.
I saw him draw on the table at a con. They had the plastic down over it, and he got out a Sharpie and he was just drawn on the table. And by the end of his, him sitting there, the entire table was this beautiful, just like piece of
Mosaic
art.
deal.
And I was like, who is like getting the X-Acto knife out and trimming this plastic off and taking that home and putting it in a frame, because
Yeah.
it was amazing.
There was one year he was next to Sergio Aragona, like one year at a con, and like the crowd around them was flipping nuts. You would have thought it was like a mosh pit or something. People trying to get a hold of them. It was wild.
I am excited for Nottingham to return, although it did turn me off a little bit, Drew, because I know you and I were loving that series, the 2 volumes
Yep.
that have been out. But bringing in people like Max Visaggio to do the one-shots to fill in the history of the characters has me a little gun-shy and not as excited as I should be.
Yeah, likewise, I agree, because like that really killed the momentum in bringing in those quote unquote creators who bring in their own identities or politics into a book that don't belong in that time period or that book. It really shows you like, okay, you had nothing here at all. You just decided to bring these people in to tell their shit story. And
I'm sure
hope-
Mags came in and did something different though, right, Drew?
Oh, it was different, all right. Yeah, different's the key word there. Yeah, the
broke
next
out of
volume,
the mold and was like, I'm getting involved with this cool property. Let me break out of the mold and just do something really kind of original for me and break new ground. That sort of thing.
Yeah, close. Not really. No, not at all. But yeah, it's like we're gonna have a character in here and they're trans. This sounds like every story you write. But
Well, it's like
in
the exchange.
past.
The exchange I had when the whole skyrocket thing was out there, and I said, if you change everything, if you say you love a character, but then your pitch is to change everything about the character, you don't really love that character. You love what you
Right.
the idea that you can.
Yeah,
stitch
you
to
love
it.
you love yourself.
Yeah, and Matt responded, "Characters are ideas," and my response to that was, "You should try having more than one for them."
You just birded people. He also wants
Singer.
to know Royal Rumble tonight. Do MJF and Okada show up? As far as I know, MJF's injury is real, and he's not supposed to be he was having surgery. And he's not supposed to be available until getting closer to summer. So unless they were just lying about the whole thing, which it is wrestling, they could do, but he should be medically uncleared. And as far as Okada, all the rumor mill stuff says that he's going to AEW, so I wouldn't count on either one of them.
They're saying that about Sasha Banks too, but I'm saying that Sasha shows up in the Women's Rumble today. I think she's going back. Her best friend's going back. She's going back. The dirty old pervert that ran them off is gone. Mm-hmm. He was sort of out of power even before this, but now he is super gone. So I think if she didn't already sign with AEW, I can't imagine that she did. I think she's got to look at that promotion and know that they're not going to do anything for her unless she's just cashing in.
Pay her millions of dollars.
Yeah, I mean,
that's why she didn't go to back to WWF already, as they were lowballing her.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think she shows up though.
I'd lowball
Okada maybe. MJF, I'm going to say no. Absolutely not.
I don't know. Maybe Okada.
He wants to do a WrestleMania. That's his big dream. I think at this point he's made enough money. He's looking at legacy, and who's going to do better with his legacy? Is it going to be in terrible matches with Eddie Kingston or Moxley, or is it going to be on the grandest stage of them all, which is WrestleMania?
I think
he wants that feather in his cap.
Pays him more because New Japan doesn't pay nearly as well as either of those. So I think he is trying to cash out his one time or his one chance after doing 17 years at New Japan.
You can rely on the old man's money. Go get some of that Shad Khan money.
Your bitch girl.
But you're gonna end your legacy. It's really sad to me that Sting is ending his career in AEW. It's really sad to me.
It wasn't nearly as sad as having Seth Rollins break his neck.
No, that's true. That's true.
Because apparently he can't work a safe match.
Yeah.
Let's buckle bomb the 50-year-old dude with back problems.
Yeah,
that's pretty smart.
Jeez, Sting agreed to it, but look what Sting's doing now. He's jumping off of ledges and going through tables and doing
six guys
through
catch
the tables.
Him.
There were 6 guys under the table that he death dropped.
He's only done that once.
But it's like, Sting, you don't have to do this, man. You don't have to do this.
Would you rather him finish up in TNA?
Yes.
Again?
At this point, yes. You know what? Because he could go and he could have a match with Ziggler, and Ziggler would make him look like $1 million for that final match, like he does
probably
everybody.
Wouldn't buckle bomb and try to paralyze him the rest of his
life. No, he wouldn't. Worst you'd get is a
Rollins.
a really cool looking zigzag.
All right, a little more wrestling talk, or this thing will definitely go off the rails.
We're off the ropes.
You're the one who started it with Ted DiBiase.
Well, let's talk about who might have started it with this Ultimate Universe expanding and now apparently containing Mark Waid. Is the Ultimate Spider-Man mega hit that it turns out that it was. Drew, you might have a bit more insight on this, with Comic Sleep and everything, but it appears from all accounts that we've seen is that this thing basically kind of sold out.
Yeah, apparently, and I'm glad to hear that. I'm very glad to hear that. But at Comic Sleep, we still have a long box or so of unsold variants for number 1. We have a ton
variants, but not A covers.
I need to check the box. I didn't check it the other day.
Hey, Drew, I might hit you up because I actually haven't found it at any of the stores I've been in.
Oh, okay.
I'm doing drug deals.
No, well, comic deals. Yes, I've literally negotiated purchases on your show before. Mostly with you.
They get the hookup on the paper crack, man. Come on, that's what we do. So it just shows you that every store is different. How Ewell operates his store is different from the Comics Elite, is different from stuff on the East Coast. Every store has different focuses, and at Comics Elite, I guess a lot of those fans for Ultimate Spider-Man just don't want them. They're gathering dust, just like the Night Terrors books we have. We have long boxes of unsold variants for Night Terrors, like the sweet ones too. And but hey, if I'm glad to hear it's doing well. Honestly, I thought it would, to me, it should have been called the Ultimate Daily Bugle number 1, not Ultimate Spider-Man number 1. That's just my opinion. But as a Spider-Man comic, its emphasis on Spider-Man, me personally, I feel it failed. I saw it as a bait and switch. Hopefully, issue 2 we get more Spider-Man and Spider-Man comic, like Jeff Goldblum in Jurassic Park. Now, eventually, there will be dinosaurs in your dinosaur park. Hello. But so yeah, I'm glad it's doing well, but not really too well at comics.
Tell us how you feel, Drew.
Oh, I'm holding back. I'm trust me.
I know
not
you
drunk right now.
are.
I'm drunk right now. I've been laying it all out.
I know my
I kind of don't
sold
blame
out.
you. Yeah, but I, you know what? I'm leaning towards a lot of local stores under ordering, primarily
Yes, I think
because
so.
with how much hype and lack of follow through. I mean, you look at the two Ultimate, what was it, Ultimate Universe and Ultimate Invasion. I mean, how big of flops were those?
After issue 1, Ultimate Invasion, yeah, it was a mega. It really did not deliver in
It was
any
a
way,
bad
shape, or
book.
form what it was supposed to be. It was just boring.
And
Nobody
that
has
was,
faith in Marvel anymore either. Like that, it came out and it was boring, but also retailers didn't order it in high numbers because they expected that it wasn't going to be great. And so I think Doc's right. I think that maybe there was a little bit of under ordering on Ultimate Spider-Man, for a lot of shops or in a lot of locations, just because they weren't expecting it to be a big hit. Marvel hasn't been able to produce a big hit in a while, so it kind of blew their mind. And I agree with AL in the chat. Like she said that. She's kind of torn on this book because on the one hand, she likes seeing Peter and MJ back together, but she is waiting for the other shoe to drop. And I am in the exact same boat. I'm like,
Yep.
Okay, you're giving us what you want, but that's not Marvel's MO anymore. So how are you going to screw us?
Right.
well,
Yeah.
and actually,
And
even if we look back at the original Ultimate Universe, like remember they kind of launched out of nowhere in what was it, 2000, 2001. And
Yeah, 2000.
Ultimate Spider-Man was the first book. Amazing Spider-Man was kind of really down at the time. It was, most of Marvel was really down at the time. That book sold out. Ultimate Spider-Man sold out and became a huge spec book really quick. Like the first 3 or 4 issues were, because they were hard to find, because it was under ordered, because Marvel had made all of the stores gun shy 23 years ago, and now they're gun shy again. I mean, for different reasons, but to an even greater degree. So I'm going to bet there was a lot of under ordering, a lot of under printing, and that's the reason why it's moving, in the back issue market, and why they were able to announce a sellout.
Yeah. Also they had to compete for retailer dollars with all those Thundercats covers. So, what are you going to do? Where do I put my money? in another Spider-Man project when Spider-Man is garbage right now, or into this this hot new property, Thundercats?
Yeah, and the 30 plus variants for Spider-Man, or the 50 plus variants for Thundercats.
Oh,
Right. This.
I mean, it's certainly a business model. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Gary.
I'm sorry. What pisses me off the most about Ultimate Spider-Man is I liked it, but I'm pissed I'm not getting this in the main stories, in the main universe. And now I'm wondering, because of this, do you think they're going to start like ordering large shipments of the Black Panther Ultimate series?
I don't think that's gonna. I don't think that the kind of effect, the halo effect of Ultimate Spider-Man, like the original. First of all, I'm running parallels between the original Ultimate line and this Ultimate line. Following up Ultimate Spider-Man this time with Ultimate Black Panther, and then an Ultimate X-Men that is so different from anything that any X-Men reader has shown any genuine interest in. It's a strange approach, and I'm not sure how well that one works. I don't think you're gonna, having the Brian or Mark Miller, Adam Kubert, Ultimate X-Men be the second Ultimate book out the gate, other than I think maybe Ultimate Team Up was out before Ultimate X-Men, but around the same time. They didn't have the same halo effect. especially on like Ultimate Team Up, which is about where I draw the parallel to this Ultimate Black Panther. I mean, first of all, is it even ongoing? I don't know.
I assume it is. That's why it's been solicited.
Well, whether or not it is, I mean, until it actually is. Here, question for everybody. Has there ever been a Black Panther ongoing that is actually an ongoing? And the answer is really no.
Even back as Marvel Knights with Christopher Priest?
Did they just cancel the series too?
I mean, maybe the Priest one, but even that was more. It was 24 issues, 30 issues, something like that.
Didn't the first Ta-Nehisi Coates run get up to like 50? With Stealth Freeze?
Maybe. Okay.
How long was Stealth Freeze on there?
Probably not for 50 issues.
Yeah, not for 50 issues. I can tell you that much. That tanked. The shops were still ordering new comics at that point, and that tanked really quick for us. As anything Ta-Nehisi Coates was allowed to touch did.
Mm-hmm.
But regardless, I don't see this being. He's not an A-list character. That's not really a draw. Right. It seems it's. Look, I mean, I'm interested in this one because the Killmonger design, even though I literally thought it was a chick and they Valkyried her. I'm not joking.
He did 25 issues.
I remember Doc was like, "What the hell 25. Is this?"
Yeah. I thought they literally Valkyried Killmonger, but so looking at it, it doesn't look bad, but
Caselli's a great artist. It looked good.
Yeah, but I compare it to the Don McGregor, Rick Buckler stuff done back in the 60s and 70s, and that's none of it has held a candle to that. That is my bar. If you can match that, then I'm there, but I don't see it matching that.
And I don't see this having big draw, it's definitely not gonna get the Halo effect. If they were to do an Ultimates book as the second one out the gate, maybe it'll have the Halo effect. If they were to do an Ultimate X-Men, that look, I like Pete Loco and all, that's actually X-Men or gives anyone close to what they want out of X-Men, would it have a Halo effect? Absolutely. If it was Ultimate Fantastic Four again, if it was Ultimate Daredevil, if it was Ultimate Thor, Captain America, whatever. But you're going with Black Panther and then a completely diverged X-Men. I feel like you're actively sabotaging yourself at this point.
Sure.
So you don't think it's not quite fever pitch like House of X Powers of 10 though with Ultimate Spider-Man. I do think House of X Powers of 10 was kind of pushed up the fact that it was weekly for basically like 3 months straight, and that really built up a lot of enthusiasm. Where this isn't having quite that chance because there's only the one book, and then we have to wait another 4 weeks.
Right.
But that doesn't necessarily. It's not necessarily a bad thing. I think you can. The appeal of monthly comics, you can build anticipation over those 4 weeks and not lose the hype, as long as your second issue is as good or better than your previous issue. And it's you could use 3, 4, 5 months to really build up the interest in the Ultimate line. They've done it before. I mean, Ultimate X-Men didn't launch until about 6 months into Ultimate Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And the Ultimates didn't launch until about like a year after. I think they were launching a new title every 6 months for the first 2 years. And then they had their 4 tent poles up. Yeah. And it became huge for them, and it was a mammoth seller. So it can be done.
It is funny, like they have a lot of people got Ultimate Spider-Man, and they're like, well, I don't like Zeb Wells stuff, so I'm going to do that. Then if you look at Black Panther, That e-viewing deal, not great. So maybe, I don't know, maybe they're counting on that, and then you have an X-Men deal where people are sick of that. Like, hey, you hate that shit, come and read this, but it doesn't have the hype that Spider-Man has.
No.
I
Like Doc said, the
almost launched
X-Men.
into it. I almost launched into an X-Men question, and then I was like, no, I'll completely derail this. I'm talking
No, you can do
talking
it. We're going on.
A mutant.
What do you guys think the odds are that Brevoort is going to try to have his cake and eat it too, as far as X-Men goes, and they're going to try to divide the line to, here's some books that appeal to the Krakoa people, and here's some books that appeal to the, to the old school X-Men, and they're going to try to walk that line.
I can almost
wouldn't
guarantee
be
it.
surprised. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
And then when all the Krakoa books flop, well, what they'll do is they'll put the best talent on those. They'll put the worst talent on the ones that is more core, I guess, the more traditional. And when they have about the same bad sales, Brevoort can, and he can defend his little lackey ukulele boy and be like, look, it wasn't his fault. There's just no interest in the X-Men. Ignore all of the variables and all the ways that he sabotages it. That's almost a guarantee.
Well, they're doing the work for Brevoort right now. They're bringing Beast back. That started this week. They're bringing Magneto back.
Did you see Josh Trujillo's tweet that if he was writing X-Men, he'd want Beast to be 20 feet tall so that the other X-Men could ride him and feed him snacks?
Yeah.
And then the next comment was like, someone was like, the next comment was somebody going, boyfriend material, and Josh Trujillo going, yeah, he is big, but you are small. And it was just like,
oh God,
Why?
I hate all of these people.
Too many people sniffing glue and eating paint chips at the same time.
and unfortunately, that's the diet to read comics.
Here's the thing. I believe that there needs to be the comic industry needs a
purge?
a litmus test. Did you ever have a Tumblr account? If the answer is yes, you are.
Did you eat lead paint chips as a child?
Well, that's
Do you
what
think
made you have a
50
Tumblr
foot
account.
tall and feed you snacks?
bring them in and put up pictures of the various X characters and go, does this make you horny? And they're like, yes. And you're like, get out.
Yes.
Does anything you say compare to Ralph Wiggum? Get out.
Get out.
Do you want this character to be 20 foot tall so you can ride him?
Yeah, man. I think they should have a fight club. If you have an idea that you really want to pitch, you have to fight it out, and they'll get punched in the face done.
Yeah.
It's like, do you want to get rid of the word men in X-Men?
Doc and I are reviewing Resurrection of Magneto this week on Monday.
Oh God!
So just
the Storm book.
Yeah. Best Storm story ever.
I'm not going to spoil anything of our review.
We already recorded it, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just going to say you are going to probably be amused by the review that will be coming up soon, and you'll be probably even more amused by the Patreon version.
Ooh, likely, yes.
That's worth it.
But we won't be doing the Beast Return book. It turns out that thing that we thought the whole time, Doc, that somewhere in the no place, the original version of the heroes, it was kind of true. They only had Beast, though.
Oh,
They
only
don't have
Beast.
all the other ones. Yes.
Except for the fact that it's a no place, so
They'd stashed a Beast clone.
Yeah,
with
they
his
could,
original personality.
they could have shoved all the rest of the originals into their own no places.
That would have been the best way to bring him back.
Did they ride him and get snacks?
To have the real X-Men show up and defeat the immoral X-Men, the amoral X-Men.
Yeah.
Mark McGrath said in the chat that Marvel is a complete human centipede type situation. I can't disagree with that in any way.
Absolutely. It's not good. But hey, at least for a little bit of time, Ultimate Spider-Man's been pretty huge. People seem to have loved it. But I do think I like Peach Momoko, that Ultimate X-Men line looks weird.
Just doesn't I don't understand where I don't quite understand what the target audience for this is.
people that like Peach Momoko variant covers.
Yeah.
They think like
Eat.
they think it's like manga. That's what
Yeah.
it looks like.
Yeah.
It's like they
Yeah,
think
if
it's
you
gonna
love
kill the
6th
manga
grade middle
readers.
school art, here you go.
And I
Oh,
want
come
to ask.
on, Drew.
I wanna
She's
ask-
fantastic
Come
artist.
on.
I want to
No,
ask Carrie.
I am not. huffing
Eric
the
O'Sullivan's
feathers
coming
of-
for you.
Yeah, really.
Good. I am.
I'm sorry,
I
what?
will. I would. This
You want
is
me
a
to
hill I
tear
will die
Liefeld
on.
down? I'll kill your heroes
Don't
too.
you do that? Oh, don't. Oh, no.
But
Yeah.
but again, I mean, like I understand that it's you're targeting those folks, but you already have evidence on this, and you saw Demon Days, and while it was successful-ish, it kept dropping off with every successive #1 issue because they were all #1 issues, and nobody even knew what the fucking reading order was.
You could just do Peach Momoko variant covers on your books and sell those to them.
Yeah, I understand, but that's fine if you want to sell 500 copies at $100 a piece. I mean, that's great. I don't think that's really the way a sustainable business model. But yeah,
Is that your dog, Doc?
no, I don't even have a dog here today.
No, it's mine.
It's got to be Carrie's dog. I'd do it.
Yeah.
It's my wife.
But yeah,
Take that, baby.
oh Jesus
You're going to
Christ!
be laughing and get in trouble.
Jim will be murdered on stream.
I'm
You guys
done.
all tuned into a great show.
All right.
Sayonara, suckers.
Hey, Pittsburgh already had MurderCon. Now we're gonna.
Yeah.
Now I'll be part of Murder Stream.
Awesome.
I just don't. I don't quite get the where they think the marketability is in this. I understand with Spider-Man, Ultimate Spider-Man. That's
Yes.
perfectly clear. They're giving the old readers that gave up something that they think it's a variation on what they've been demanding. Cool. Get it. It makes perfect sense. Black Panther, I don't know what, it's just a completely different take, but it doesn't deviate too significantly from what a lot of Black Panther readers claim that they want. All right, cool. X-Men though, I don't hear. I hear the clamor of people wanting traditional X-Men. I hear the people that want the Krakoan era and the gay orgy island to stick around forever.
All 12 of them in a podcast.
Yeah, it's like
Exactly.
who the hell is saying that? Jeez.
But
People who read the book for free on the pirate sites.
Yes.
That's who wants the
Fair
Krakoa
enough.
era to continue.
and honestly, they don't even read it at that point. They just want it to exist because it means that the other thing doesn't. But this one though, I'm just. Are you just trying to go for the Demon Days crowd? I don't see how that's a huge market for it.
It's not. It's a very small niche audience, and if you're relaunching or quote unquote relaunching X-Men, you want someone or talent on there that's going to have broad mass appeal, and that isn't broad mass appeal.
And I hope
Two
Peach
Beasts in the
Momoko
chat.
shoves this down your throat, man.
I hope so too, but not
She can try.
in
She'll
a mean
fail.
way. It'd be awesome. I want to ask Carrie real quick. I was going to say earlier,
Yes.
like, does it annoy you to no end when you have bullshit thrown out there and then people go, "Oh, that's manga. That's like manga." It's so if you love manga, and you
Yes.
see the shit that people say, "Oh, that's manga," you're like, no, it's not close, and it's so infuriating.
Jose Tabisi in
Study
the
hall.
chat was asking where
I showed it to
where
one
he-
of my friends who were. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, we've got someone in the chat, because I do like to help people out with recommendations when we can. Someone in the chat was saying they want to get into X-Men, but they don't know where to start. I would say, depending on your budget,
Giant size X-Men.
yeah, giant size
Yeah.
X-Men. Don't go out and buy the original issue unless you can afford it. It's quite expensive, but
Rockefellers.
you can get the Omnibuy. Just go start grabbing those. That's really your best bet.
Yeah,
Is,
or the Marvel Epic Collection. Good too.
yeah, there you go.
But
Some of them now.
Aaron, so we finally had a
Shoot.
question for Carrie that she was going to answer. You didn't even let her speak.
I know.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Carrie.
Just like a man.
To answer
I wanted
Jim.
misogyny on this. this shit.
He didn't want to forget. All right, but I showed the art for the upcoming Ultimate X-Men to a friend, and I said, "Hey, do you think this is like manga?" And they were kind of like looking at it, and they thought it looked really weird. They thought it was a kid's book,
No.
not a manga.
It's watercolors. It's
And I was like,
traditional
I go,
Japanese
it's-
folklore.
Middle school art.
Yeah, I said it's
Jeez.
it's an X-Men book, and they're like, and they knew a little about X-Men because of the movies. They're like, "Well, I don't recognize that character from anything from X-Men." I'm like, it's an X-Men book, and they're like, "Oh, I
You'd
thought it
more
was like a
recognize it
slice
from-
of life kids
yeah.
book."
An old Japanese scroll or something is where you recognize.
Yeah. Well, the panel I showed was for in school, and they were all like, "Oh, this looks like a kid's slice of life." Well, it's like a school adventure book. I'm like,
No.
it doesn't.
I just can't believe the
I'd just rather have
cojones
my-
on Aaron.
I know.
I'm just trying to service the chat a little bit, okay?
You were trying to silence Carrie. We all saw it.
I know it's like, talking about this manga.
What is this? You?
I have no connection to
That's
manga.
dumb.
I'm
That's
a
not,
man.
that's not how I got my start.
Listen, manga. I'd rather talk about
Hey,
playing
look.
with toys with other grown men. That's what I thought would happen.
Look, I got MVP reading a colorless, and that's a manga.
That's cool.
But
Yeah.
by the way, right now isn't the worst time to buy a copy of Giant Sized X-Men. The
No.
market has dipped a significant bit on it, so it might not be the worst. You could probably get it was overvalued.
Make sure you like X-Men before you spend the money, though.
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
or you know what you're investing in. But you got a bunch of first appearances there. The market went down recently because there's been a bit of market correction for a lot of Bronze Age keys, and it might be down a little undervalued now. It was severely overvalued for a period. Now it's maybe a little under.
Well, there we go. Let's hear from the peoples. Lade Kramer says, "Hey, to show how I am putting my money where my mouth is, Lane added Jackpot and Black Cat #1 to his sub.
Oh, God.
Ask you to read, I will too. Yule told me not to, but I am. You'll have the right idea.
Oh, you poor soul.
Yeah, you're always trying to save you.
I love when Yule is telling you not to put something on a pull list. You know shit's gone wrong.
Please don't buy this book.
When a retailer is telling you,
I don't want to order it, please.
Yeah.
you know that's bad because it's like they're weighing this sale. It's like, yes, it's a sale, but Yule knows in his heart, this is the book that could get you to stop reading comics altogether.
Yes.
So
Exactly.
I have to weigh the sale versus the potential of losing a customer permanently.
Here's a
Jackpot
copy of
#1
Superman
wasn't,
versus Radio Shack Calculator. Read this.
Jackpot #1 wasn't a moment for comics. So remember, let's put it that way. Grateful Dog says, this isn't as big a bait and switch as Sean Gordon Murphy's Zorro.
I like.
I think, well, the one problem I have with that is how the Kickstarter people haven't gotten their books yet. It's if people are buying the singles, they're getting that before the backers are getting their copies. That's
But
the
it
problem.
said that on the campaign.
Yeah, it did.
It doesn't.
It's like with the Berserker
it-
campaign that you were going to get it after it was all
Yeah.
done.
Yeah, but I've got a problem with that. And to me, as a backer and as well as a Kickstarter guy myself, I don't believe in that. That's my opinion.
I have a huge problem with that as well. And as someone who grew up in Southern California, I really think that Sean Gordon Murphy probably should have talked to some Mexicans before he started writing Mexican culture, because it's just the most bland, like taken out of the kind of the public consciousness sort of approach to a culture that I've ever seen. I don't think he knows too many Mexican families. Felt pretty
There
cliche.
you go. Everybody's upset with SGM. I still like Sean. He's a good guy. Calb says,
I got no beef with him personally.
I don't know, Aaron. It seems like your beef was with Carrie.
That's right.
Yeah.
Calb says, on Ta-Nehisi Coates, do you honestly think James Gunn would allow J.J. Abrams' Black Superman movie, or is he just making it all up and has zero DC movie plans?
I
I'm just
feel
gonna keep
like
pushing it back and pushing it back.
I'm
He
sure it is
probably
in
have an option
development.
on it for a certain amount of
Yeah.
time, and the project's not dead until it's over.
Mhm.
yeah.
Whatever they paid Ta-Nehisi Coates and J.J. Abrams to do this, or like whatever time.
It was like what, $500 million deal they gave J.J. Abrams, from what I understand. It was like,
and then he
500 million.
promptly did nothing.
Yeah,
Like they gave him $500 million to just not, and then he still made movies for other people, which was in the interim, which was really the funny part.
Well, you know,
I don't think we'll get
$500 million. $500 million, you can enjoy a lot of that white comfort that JJ likes talking about.
Maybe, but I don't think this movie ever gets made. They're going to have a hard enough time getting through that first 10 movie slate, and I don't believe we'll ever get all those movies as well. So I don't think that one's going to happen. Krista Bliss on Ultimate Spider-Man. I'll wait 3 months for the disaster that is Ultimate Spider-Man. Why does everyone think something bad is going to happen?
Because none of them are consistently good. You know, they're just waiting for the rug to get pulled out from under them. It always happens with a lot of these books.
Marvel is Lucy Van Pelt with the football, man. They're like, no, we're really going to let you kick it this time.
But isn't that life and love?
You know the last names of the Peanut characters?
Well, I know Lucy Van Pelt and Linus Van Pelt. I don't know Schroeder's last name. I know Charlie Brown's last name.
Oh, that's the only one you should know besides his sister.
Their cousin Alex, the quarterback.
Is his name Brown?
Perhaps.
It might be.
Listen, Chris, just stick around, man. This thing is going to go great. I don't know why these guys are all being negative Nancy on the book. It's going to be fabulous. There's no way they're going to kill MJ off in the first year.
In fairness, normally right now I'd be saying, well, until Marvel stops acting to type. But I was waiting that was my thoughts on Nick Spencer's ASM run. And I kept waiting and waiting and waiting for him to pull the rug out from under us, because that seemed at the time like that was literally the only tool he still had in his toolbox. And then he didn't do it. So I was like, okay, I'm pleasantly surprised.
He did, though, Doc. He pulled the rug out by just leaving.
Yeah, exactly.
Gave us Zeb Wells.
Yeah, I'm out.
he gave us the worst case of like comic book blue balls ever. For Spider-Man readers, and then everybody else literally just skipped all of that stuff, and then Zeb Wells literally. If Nick Spencer gave us comic book blue balls, Zeb Wells flipped us over and looped. He flipped us over and lubed up.
Goodness. All right. HH and the fellas at Sigma Comics, shout out to all. Speaking of mega hit, MegaCon is next weekend, and we'll see Orlando-based aficionados there. Remember to hit the like and subscribe button. And if you're going to be in the Orlando area, definitely go to MegaCon and find the guys from Sigma Comics. HH will definitely sell you on some Here Comes the Calico. And I bet if you give him a little extra money, he'll throw you in a rear naked choke. Maybe Nick. You know what I'm saying?
Like Zeb Wells.
HH is one of those guys that I don't see Mark Brooks challenging to a fist fight at a con.
It would be fun.
There's a reason for that. I'd love to watch. I'd be right there with a big bucket of popcorn.
I'll pay to watch that. Oh.
Nobody wants to see some just lame ass guy get choked out by a.
Oh, come on! It would be just like the scene in I Love You, Man, when Jason Segel tries to take on Lou Ferrigno. It's just like Mark Brooks in the rear naked choke, going, "He's so strong," as he passes out, and HH just lowers him to the ground.
I see him going more like Rorschach. You're right here with me. That'll be good. I love HH. Those guys are great. It's nice that he's like a living weapon, but he never uses it because he's such a good guy. Maybe next time you see Mark Brooks, perhaps. Kalichi, okay, can someone tell me where all the prestige comes from with Jim Lee? Oh, God, this is a Doc question. He's got stuff under his belt like Batman, Hush, Superman, X-Men. Other than that, what else? He's the head of DC and watching it crumble.
Okay. Well, first of all,
Oh, no, he didn't mention Wildstorm, Doc. You're going to lose him.
Oh, God.
No, I mean, let's be real here. He has the number one selling comic of all time.
5 million copies.
He sold a shit ton of books before that. When X-Men was already at its peak, he managed to raise it higher. Then he went and started another company, being Wildstorm, that ushered in a shit ton of good talent into the industry. Regardless of what you think about his business acumen, his other than the writers, all the artists that he brought into comics, there was a significant number of them, and most of them were very, very good. J. Scott, there is no J. Scott Campbell without Jim Lee. There is no Brett Booth. There is no about a dozen other artists. And what he did at Wildstorm legitimately changed the shape of the comics industry. Marvel never recovers in the early 2000s if Wildstorm isn't doing what Wildstorm was doing. Because they ended up having to they basically came in, poached all the talent and ideas that they could get to sign with them, and basically recovered their entire company as a result. DC finally figured out their collected editions. You don't have the absolute format without Jim Lee. That big oversized slipcase hardcover. The best you're still doing is fucking trade paperbacks without Jim Lee and without Wildstorm. So yeah, there's a lot of prestige with Jim's name. Sorry.
It's all old shit, dude. None of it's new. All 25 years or older. Except for Hush.
No. Most of the Wildstorm stuff was less than 25 years. But okay.
He also says it seems like he was never meant to be the head of the company. Warner is only going to allow them to exist for so long until they give them the axe and shut down the comics division altogether. This shit is unsustainable. I definitely thank you very much to Kalichi for supporting the channel.
That
what
part
do
I
you think?
agree
Is
with.
Jim Lee going to be the guy in charge that ends up killing DC? Is that going to be the legacy?
No, I do think that he finds somebody to actually run the day-to-day operations very soon.
Needs to find a scapegoat.
I think he needs to have. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, if you listen to Rob Liefeld's podcast, there was a point where Jim was going to go back to Marvel. He was going to work on X-Men after the Krakoan age. Marvel was going to lure him back, but he got stuck back at DC.
Yeah, I don't think he wants. I think that's the reason why they've had co-publishers. I mean, they brought in the fucking basketball guy,
Daniel Cherry,
to be the general manager. Stop looking outside of comics, Jim. Anybody that's any good at whatever they've done, is not doing it in comics. So you got to find. You did it fairly well with the people that you brought in to run Wildstorm when you just wanted to draw and go to Italy for a year and maybe steal somebody's wife. But you go find that again. Find somebody that can run the day-to-day ops for you so that you're not. We know that you don't want to do it.
I feel he does. But Jim has had some unprecedented success, so I was just goading you a little bit there, Doc. But certainly, he could use something good to happen soon.
100%.
As a corporate executive, he's a really good artist.
Absolutely, that's what it is.
He is the best. He is the best. You know what? Anybody that's cleaning up the boardroom that finds those napkins afterwards, they actually get a reward.
Yeah.
If you're the head of DC and you walk into a comic book store, which I don't know that Jim does because it's not along a red carpet path, but if you walk into a comic book store and you go, "Hey, where's your DC section? Let me take a look at how you how you display our books." And you walk over and you see Fire and Ice and you pick that up off the shelf and you open it up and you don't immediately go, "Wait, who approved this? This is on my watch," and you don't go in and start firing. You're not a good leader.
Yes.
Yeah. The lows have been terribly low over the last year. No doubt about that. And Caleb says, Gary from Friday Night Tights said in 3 days a full article on the Writers Guild of America scheme will be published. That'll be interesting. What is he talking about there, Aaron? You seem like a writer.
So
He seems like a writer.
Because I seem like you present yourself as a writer.
You identify
As far as I know, okay, so I'm not in the WGA. I'm not pre WGA, whatever the hell that means when people say it. But as far as I know, just from people that I've talked to, the Writers Guild, they fought this whole battle. They had their guild go on strike. They basically used all the writers to bring everything to a halt so they could negotiate better contracts. And then, the big selling point for that was, we're going to prevent AI from taking your jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And they've immediately, the Screen Actors Guild has sold out on that. I don't know if the WGA has as well. So I'm not really sure what the beef is. I'll be waiting for Gary's article, like everybody else, I guess, because just being not being in the WGA, I don't keep up with it all that much.
That could be very interesting. Imagine that'll make the news. Kaiser Jose, Doc, what's your favorite Gambit moment?
Actually, you know what? When you found out that he was the one that was leading the Marauders into the tunnels, he's the one that did like all the scout and recon work for Sinister before the massacre.
My favorite moment's when he finally slapped the piss out of Destiny and told her to keep her nose out of his business.
My favorite
Still
moment
waiting
was
for
when it looked like he was begging the bad guy for mercy, and then it turned out he was charging the guy's coat and kicked him out the window, and the guy exploded. I thought that was pretty good.
Very
I would say
momentous.
riding bitch behind Rogue on a motorcycle. That was
Oh yeah, that's pretty high up on the list.
Listen, you guys can give Gambit crap for that, but motorcycles are dangerous and she's invulnerable. So basically, he was putting an invulnerable meat shield between him and the pavement, okay?
What about the time that Rogue says that Gambit was at home taking care of their cats? And that's why she's on the X-Men team.
Well, it was written by a cat lady, so what are you going to
That
do?
was cool. Yeah. Linda says Rebel Moon proves Zack Snyder is overrated. His fans claim BVS has theological depth, a sinner redeemed through a God sacrifice. National Review's film critic even said that Martha represents Mariology.
What?
I don't know, Carrie. What do you think about all this
What?
stuff? Are you a big Zack Snyder fan?
I just
Not really.
what?
It was all right.
Go ahead.
Sorry. The movies were okay for the DCEU. I didn't think they were great. They were mostly rewatchable for me, but this whole
You liked them a lot more than I did.
I'm being nice.
Just because you keep presenting it. Just because you keep No, Carrie, there's no deep meaning. You're absolutely right, Carrie. It's everybody's like, well, the movies have themes. The movies, it's themes. They're good because they have themes. It's like they don't connect to anything.
It's like these people when they say, well, that's kind of like a trans allegory. It's what? They're just because there's a color scheme in the background, you're all like, it's a trans allegory. There's no deep meaning here. It's just good.
There's no deep meaning in anything Zack Snyder does. I think that's one of the problems, Aaron.
It's a bunch of gobbledygook. It's just him like,
yes.
Yeah, it's like, oh, here's some Jesus imagery, and you're like, oh, this is really deep. It's not. Presenting Superman as a Jesus allegory is not interesting, nor is it original. It's been done.
No.
If anything, Superman was a Moses analogy, as intended by his creators. But you can take that and you can have Zuckerberg come in and babble about gods and monsters, and it's a bunch of like intro to philosophy nonsense that Zack Snyder crams into his movies thinking that he's deep. And he's not. He's about as shallow as a puddle. He puts together some interesting visuals on occasion when everything isn't sepia brown.
Sorry. I was
not me.
shit. That one was me.
Doc's not bag and boarding right now.
I am.
Putting things in the box alphabetically as God intended.
Goddamn right.
I was waiting for that.
or gets the hose again.
Yeah.
I just
Aaron, you really enjoyed Rebel Moon.
Oh yeah. Oh God, what a garbage
I just
heap
want to know why
that
Zack
was.
Snyder was afraid of color. And lighting.
He just thinks it's really cool. Like that's the thing is, it's just really cool to do it this way. It's like it's you've been doing it since 300.
Gloomy.
It's
Yeah.
it's over. Like do something else. Try and grow a little bit.
I just watched Rebel Moon. I was just in Texas, and I had nothing to do on my fucking flight down. So I had thrown that on my iPad, and I was just sitting there watching this. This is like my third attempt to watch this movie. I finally made it the whole way through it because I kept thinking I must be missing something. I must be missing. I watched this movie.
Cut out most of the plot.
There is no fucking plot. Like,
Exactly.
It's a New Hope, Doc. It's a New Hope.
It's literally, it's literally like dollar store version of a New Hope with like.
I thought that's what the Force Awakens was.
This was somehow less, but this is like lower budget because I like the guy
Kathleen
from fucking
Kennedy rejected his proposal.
Yeah,
That's how bad.
yeah,
Okay.
the guy who didn't know Star Lord's name from Guardians of the Galaxy, that was the paramilitary guy from Fast and Furious.
Digimon Hansu.
Yes, that guy. They're literally just washing him with a garden hose. You look at the end of it; it is literally the hose you buy for $20 on Amazon. I shit you not. Like the nozzle is literally this cheap plastic nozzle that comes with one of those, the shrinky hoses that you could buy on Amazon that take up less space.
Yeah,
it's literally that handle.
I thought we were going to get like Doc's like review of the movie. Instead, he's critiquing the fucking gardening tools.
Well, no,
how did I know we were going to go
I'm surprised they let
No, I
Doc
know what
watch
you're talking
Rebel Moon
about.
on a flight.
Oh,
I'm surprised they let him bring that onto a plane.
Not like he
Because
downloaded
if you're watching Rebel Moon on a plane, there's a good chance that you're going to try to open the
You're
door
gonna
and
try
jump
to
out.
Like,
So hold on.
nothing happened.
So Cal Lyles wants to know, why did James Gunn say that, though, talking about the J.J. Abrams
Interesting.
Superman movie? He literally only said the word yes. He was asked if the J.J. Abrams Superman movie is still in production. He answered yes. And that was literally the end of the conversation regarding that I know of, because I did go and try to find the story. So he didn't really say anything.
Not even production, just development.
Also,
Which means, they're still working on that because it's still, contractually, it's still in play.
Yeah.
We're never going to make that movie, but it's in development.
Also, I think the idea is he's probably sitting there going, "What the fuck's this guy talking about?" But I can't say I have no idea because then it'll look like I don't know what the fuck's going on in the studio that I'm supposed to be running right now. So yeah, sure, fine, fuck it, whatever.
I would like it if his answer was, sure, why not? It's like, is it still in development? Sure, why not?
Jose DeB says,
make an icon movie, all right? Make Icon and Rocket.
Jose DeB says, thank you, Aaron. Speaking as a Mexican, I can tell you it's still bad in Mexico, but I'm over Narcos as bad guys. Do you think this is for SJWs?
Oh, the Zorro book?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Like, I think it was just,
Not really.
I think it definitely feels like it was probably written in 2016 with the, what was currently popular at the time. And it just took a long time to come out. But I like Sean Gordon Murphy. I like his artwork a lot. As a personality, I think I probably like him. I don't think that everything he does is good. So, and look, that affects us all. We don't always do our best work. And I think this was an ill-conceived idea. And I don't think it delivered kind of what people would have wanted. When you hear Sean Gordon Murphy and you hear Zorro, you hope that you're getting a Zorro story, not the story of Zorro's lesbian sister.
Yes.
There you go. Chuck Skills, Batman versus Superman is depression incarnate.
Yes.
That's very bleak and nihilistic. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So was Man of Steel.
Yeah.
I shouldn't come out of a Superman movie feeling exhausted and depressed.
Or I call it Ultraman. The Ultraman, the movie. I mean, it's
Hyperion.
Earth 3, evil Superman.
That would have been more
It's Hyperion.
optimistic.
Yeah, it was the origin of the Injustice universe, which is the way they should have pivoted. They should have pivoted the entire Zack Snyder universe into revealing that's the Injustice universe, and then bring in those same actors as the characters from the correct universe to stop them.
Yeah.
Probably would have worked. Kalichiochi says, what are Paul Levitt's, Jim Shooter, or Jeff Johns doing right now? They seem like a better fit. Hell, let's convert Perlmutter. Jim is just eating checks. So Jeff Johns is leading his Ghost Machine imprint, which had the first issue this week, which was a preview book. Jim Shooter, I think he's just doing like cons and stuff.
Yep.
Jim's
And
in
then-
his 70s. Leave the man
Yeah.
alone.
Then
He does not need this.
Paul
Charles.
Levitz has done a little bit of writing, and I've seen some interviews, but I don't think he's really doing much now.
He's
He's
another
also
guy in
an
his
older
70s.
gentleman. Yeah.
Yeah. Let him relax.
And then I
Look, if they
is
said
too
that-
busy trying to take down Bob Iger.
If they said that Dan DiDio was returning to DC at this point, I'd be overjoyed.
I take it.
Mhm.
Even though I said some less than nice things about the man. It is job performance.
Yeah, he thinks you hate him. I told him, I said, Wes doesn't hate you. Wes would have you on. He'd be nice to you.
Nice. To
But
everybody.
I did talk to Dan, and he hated Tom King's Batman run. So I have all the respect for the man.
It tells you he knew what was going on. It was bad.
Mhm.
At that point, he probably couldn't stop it or whatever. But I don't know. There's just put fucking Rob Liefeld in charge. He'd do a better job.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
anybody kind of would at this point because they would actually do a job.
A
Just
job.
do something. Just do something. Jim, it doesn't even have to be the right decision. Just make a decision.
Yeah, just get the manager at Whataburger. At least he can do schedules.
Just
Right?
like you like it.
Whataburger.
I just had Whataburger on Wednesday.
You,
and it was
you
delicious.
son of,
Nice.
you son of a bitch.
But yeah, it's unfortunate. It does feel like because they weren't graduating writers when they got older to like group editors. Like there's like a big blank or void of people that should be ready to step up to a position like that.
You used to have to work your way into those positions, and now
Yeah.
they just hire college girls.
It's the entry level to the
Mhm.
comics industry. You come in and then you get to make creative and editorial decisions as literally your first job, your first assignment. That's not the way it should work.
Yeah, I think they've kind of fucked up the career progression of people that might be good for management one day.
And we can thank Jordan White for doing that.
I'm sure.
Thanks,
somebody-
Jordan.
Yeah, fuck you,
I
Jordan.
just did. I just thanked him.
You already
always-
destroyed X-Men. Now you got to destroy the career progression of editors in comic books.
Well, he did that by hiring Heather in the first place.
I don't think
She
he
was
really
one of
got it.
those, I don't have any experience. So he told her literally just go do a crowdfunded book. Get any editorial credit and we can hire you. So that's what
Jordan
they're
White
doing.
was like, "Oh my God, you're so pretty. Just go do it. Go do anything so that you have something on a resume. And I'll hire you."
Waxing up that mustache, please.
Doing that little part in the hair, you know,
Oh my gosh.
riding the unicycle, juggling, playing the ukulele.
What we're saying is he's an ugly man. That's all.
my
He's
question
old
is
school.
my question is whether or not his wife ever got jealous. But maybe
Man,
not.
I thought you were
His
going
wife
to
was
go way
probably-
worse than that one, Doc.
She's probably
Thank you.
twirling her mustache too.
Yeah.
Hey, in fairness, though, there's a reason why Jordan can afford to be a buffoon, and it's because his wife is an actual doctor.
Maybe she was actually excited. She was like, "Oh yes, please leave me for
Yeah,
this."
Tim
please.
Seeley's in the same boat.
Please.
So
Yeah, stop being a financial
Take 'em.
drain on me.
Tom King's wife's a lawyer, so
Yeah.
they all have their deal.
Everybody's got a sugar mama, man.
Just
What,
like
Sugar
Hey.
babies.
what have I done wrong?
yeah.
Where did I've gone completely wrong?
You were interested in actual success, not in finding some woman that would take care of you.
And look how that's worked out for me.
Exactly.
In fairness, you're right.
Your plan did not work
We got a
out.
beta.
Like
Well, you know, everybody. I told Doug Tenapple once that I said years ago at a con, I came up to you and I told you that I wanted to do comics, and you told me to follow my dreams. So this is all your fault.
There you go. Chris DeBliss wants to know for Aaron, can Chris send you the portfolio? He's a colorist.
Oh, so actually, yeah, because I do have people who are always looking for colorists. It seems like colorists are kind of like in demand right now, and actually, I don't know that the person I had assigned for colors on Kneel Before Doomface is going to come through. So yes, please send me your portfolio.
There you go. Obviously, right here, the PI. Very nice. Hopefully, we can work that all out. And let's get into some comic book recommendations. It's time to start wrapping this bad boy up. Daddy needs some chicken nuggies. We've got the AFC title game tomorrow, so I got some content to finish.
You got
up
the
this
Royal
recommend-
Rumble today.
The Royal Rumble, which I'll be watching on Disney Plus probably tomorrow because it happens while I sleep. So,
Oh.
Carrie, Are you going to recommend any comic books, or you recommend a manga this week?
Both. So
Whoa.
first, I got one recommendation for my friend Aaron here. It's called Marriage Toxin. It's about an assassin whose family is looking for the next heir, so they're trying to force his older sister into having a baby, but she's in a relationship with a woman, so he decides to step up, and he has no relationship
Impregnate his sister?
experience at all.
Step up to a baby.
No.
I am confused.
I was
It's
like,
not a Marvel. It's not a
why
Marvel.
are you recommending this?
Because
I'm the only
he's not
one thinking
working
that.
today.
It was my book
No.
of the year last year, just to point out.
Am I the
It's
only
awesome.
one thinking where she was going?
No,
It's not an
gotta find
X-Men
somebody.
comic.
So he can have a baby.
This sounds like
So he
Tales
teams
from
up-
fucking
Right.
from the trailer park in Missouri where I grew up.
Japan gets crazy. Okay.
It is
So
true.
he teams up with this scam artist to find a girlfriend so he can have a baby, but he has no like relationship experience, and it's hilarious. The action sequences are really good, and like Jim said, it's probably going
it's-
to be one of my books of the year for manga.
It's really good.
It's incel
Are you recommending
comics.
it to me because you think I have no relationship experience?
I think it's because you're
Carrie's
trying to
revenge, man. I shouldn't
drop
have interrupted her
a very
earlier, man. She's
dangerous-
gunning for me now.
It has some of the best character designs and character work. Way
Yes.
better than
I
some.
can see
Dear
Aaron on
Alabama.
Craigslist looking at like, oh, she wants to get pregnant. Do I send the message out? Am I going to be the stranger?
Yeah.
Dear Alabama
No.
Trailer Park Forums.
How many volumes are there so far?
One.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
just
think
one.
they
Okay, so
released
good
one
jumping
volume.
in, good jumping on
It's
point.
good.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah,
I will
you
check
get-
it out.
You get a guy Bugman that might be one of the best characters ever. He's a gem. That's my pick.
All right.
And then I'm
into it.
catching up on some of my comic books. You guys have been recommending it, so I picked it up as the G.I. Joe from Image, and I'm really liking that a lot.
That's a winner right there.
Mhm.
Very nice.
That's my
And if people
recommendation.
want to help out, because you are having some personal issues, your mother was very
Yes.
sick. It sounds like you've got a solution for all that stuff, but it's not going to be cheap. How can people
Right.
help out?
I do have a GoFundMe link. It's on my YouTube channel, as well as Wes has it in his community section, and I will be posting it again on Twitter. So if you want to do that, or you can go to my eBay. I do have some items up for sale.
Some cool stuff.
Very nice. And thank you very much for joining us today, Carrie. You brought a little class to what is normally a pretty classless panel, to be honest. Drew, now you and I will be doing best of the week later, and it was very slim pickings, so you might not want to give any spoilers there. You got any other comic books to recommend, or any news to share?
I'm just going to recommend everyone go to Backer Kit and check out Unholy Nightmare. You can pre-order Unholy Nightmare right now, right there, and you can get a copy for $10. Cover A. You can get a PDF for $5. Very affordable. Not like Sean Gordon Murphy's $40 for a comic. Everyone's going to want this. You're going to have a blast reading this. Aaron Sparrow, the great Aaron Sparrow, is editing it, and I believe he's like what he's read.
Oh.
And I've shared interior pages with Carrie and with Doc. I don't know if Doc has seen them.
Yes.
I've shared them with Aaron. I think you guys like them.
Yeah. No. And I'm.
I do.
I'm
I like them
actually,
a lot.
I'm actually editing the third script this weekend, so I'm looking forward to digging into that. First two issues are pretty much locked. Drew's doing some crazy stuff. I dig it, and like I keep saying, I already want a Recluse action figure. Like that's how much I like it. How much I like this character.
Very nice.
Yeah,
And
me
Drew,
too.
people were asking, when are you guys, you and Keel, going to do the Comics Elite big rundown again? The hot and not stuff that was.
We
It was a
just
couple
don't
hours.
have time. I don't have time because I'm writing. I've got so many more projects I'm working on right now. Kyle is a dad now. He's got an 8-month-old.
So it's never.
for the foreseeable future.
Oh my goodness. Well, there you go. Sorry, fellas. I tried, but you guys did do that for a couple years.
Yeah, we did actually almost
a lot
3
of
years.
work.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of time.
You can catch them Friday nights though on MVP's channel. They do the Friday night comic book roundup, so
Yeah.
you can still hear them talking about comics on there.
And
Not exactly the
obviously,
same
Best
format,
of the
but-
week on Saturday.
Yep.
If you want something a little bit more full, Jim and I do the Hot or Not show, where we make fun of a lot of comic books and stuff, but we don't go into quite as much details
And
as
Wes
those guys at Comics
makes
do.
fun of me. That's what usually happens.
Well, I try to make you laugh because I know your wife hates it.
Well, that is true. And also then I get such comments as, who's Mr. Giggles? And then it pisses me off. But
You're still not over that. That was 3 months ago.
You know that was your wife
longer.
leaving that.
It might have been. I'm like, take this on Mr. Giggles. Like, yeah, it might have been.
I hate your joy.
Oh, she's going to get mad now. I giggled.
Are you recommending any comic books, Jim?
Yeah. I'm going to go against the trend here, and I am going to recommend the Titans Beast World that came out. I know that it is a divisive deal. Some people don't like the end, but I did like it. And I'm not as sick of Amanda Waller as everybody else. But I also recommend the Ghost Machine one-shot. And weird, I haven't recommended a Star Wars book in a while, but the Star Wars Thrawn Alliances, I will recommend that as well.
I thought you were
Not a
gonna
great
recommend
week.
Action and
What's it?
Magneto.
No, but I might as well throw it. I did like Superior Spider-Man too. I know that people hate Dan Slott, but I like that book as well. I got a giggle out of that, and I'm Mr. Giggles. So
Because you are
that's pretty
Mr.
good.
Giggles.
I'm Mr. Giggles, and
Next thing
but
you know,
no.
your wife sees you giggling, reading the comic book. She's like,
Oh my God! Yeah, really.
you're Spider-Man now.
Oh, look
I
at
guess
you!
you're just happy with him.
She's like, where is this Dan Slott fellow? But it is one of those things. It's kind of a lay of the land or the side of the times this week. There are some things that if it was a normal week, I probably wouldn't have had those up there, but it's slim pickings this week.
Jose the Beast is recommending Planet Hulk by Greg Pak. First time reading and loving it.
If you're reading the original issues and you go through the letters column, I think in issue 3 or 4, you'll see a letter from this guy, Aaron Sparrow. That wrote
Really?
in.
Hey.
What'd you say?
Nice.
I said that. I think I said that the comic made me love again.
Oh my!
Because there's just
Wow.
there is
Wow.
a moment in Planet Hulk where it was really cool. It's he's on the blue area of the moon with Black Bolt, and Black Bolt tells him to stop, and it blows everything up. And we've been told how insanely powerful Black Bolt is, and over the years we've seen it demonstrated. And you think, man, that really he really took the Hulk out. And as he's walking away from the smoke, you hear I didn't come to hear you whisper. And then they turn the page, and Hulk is like jumping out of the smoke at him, all dramatic. Some really
That
great.
made you love again?
And he said, but Hulk says, I didn't come to hear you whisper. Turn the page. I came to hear you scream. And it's just like, oh shit. And so
Not quite the Notebook, though, is it?
that no, it is for me, man. Come on. That's my Notebook right there. By the way, the Notebook is every guy trying to ask his date what she wants for dinner. What do you want? Just tell me what you want. No, you decide. Chinese? I had Chinese for lunch. God damn it!
Jose the Beast also said, did anyone else see the Last Airbender trailer? It looks great. So here's my problem with the Last Airbender, Aaron. When I was deployed, all the Army guys I was working with told me I got to watch Last Airbender or whatever. So I went and watched the M. Night Shyamalan movie, and I got about 30 minutes into it.
Amazing film.
I said I
Powerful.
would
Powerful
never,
film.
ever fucking watch this again. And they're like, you got to watch the cartoon. I was like, too late. You should have specified.
Yeah.
That shit is dead to me.
I hate this
Worst
so
things I've ever
much.
watched in my life.
Oh my god, I saw that in the theater, and and my friend Marie at some point turns to me and she goes, "What the hell is this? What have you brought me to?"
Yeah, they're like, no, you gotta watch the cartoon. I was
I
like,
swear the
never.
cartoon was good.
I
I swear.
fucking hate everything about
Thought
this.
the movie might be good. Yeah, it's one of those things you feel like M. Night took it just because he needed money.
The M. Night
Because-
twist
Yeah.
is it sucked.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's not really a twist with a lot of his movies, is
No,
it?
it isn't actually
It's
anymore.
so bad. Just terrible, terrible stuff there. But are you excited for this Last Airbender on Netflix?
No.
No.
No, I don't.
Already
Look,
said
I don't even. I don't have Netflix anymore.
Looks
So like
better.
they could put whatever they want.
You
on
live
there.
in a
I won't
fucking
see it.
bunker? You don't have
What?
HBO. You don't have Disney Plus. You don't got Max. You got no Netflix.
I have
you not
Max.
watch TV?
I have
Max.
Max. I have Prime.
Out of all the ones to choose from, you chose Prime and Max.
Well, Prime,
Those
I
are the
get free
worst
shipping
ones.
on. I get free shipping on toys, so I need
Yeah.
the Prime. It's just
Oh,
got
yeah.
videos along
That's
with
a good point.
it. If everybody, like, I might have Disney Plus if like they had a service that I cared about, like, but they don't.
Watch Home Alone or Home Improvement.
If they were
Right.
shipping me things and I was getting access to their shitty programming at the same time, then maybe I would watch more shitty programming to review with you. But I'm certainly not going to pay for it. And the more ad tiers, the more these companies move towards ad tiers, well, then I'm not paying you anything, because if you are feeding me advertising, then the service should be free. Go back to being linear television, because that is what you're becoming.
All right.
I'm not going to
Do
pay.
you have
for
any
the
comic
privilege.
books to recommend?
Yes, I'm gonna say go pick up Ghost Machine #1. I think that it is an anthology, which I normally hate. It's a bunch of preview stories. My a-hole neighbor is about to start up his motorcycle, so let me get through this really quick. I think it's a good jumping off point, and I think that it is. It's like Distillery, but if Distillery had a chance of being successful and going on for years and years. So I think that it's a good jumping in point. Check out some of the stuff. See if there's any books you might be interested in, because it's A-list talent.
Very nice. I thought you said jumping off point. I was like, that's not
You
what I
did.
wanted.
Did I say jumping off? I mean jumping off in the sense that the universe is jumping off from this.
The
It's
jump off.
underweight.
Yeah.
Yes, I gotcha.
Launching. It's launching off.
I
It's the
gotcha.
launch pad.
All right, Doc, are you recommending any books?
I am recommending nothing new, but I am going to recommend. Hold on, up there. I went shopping while I was in Texas, and I literally forgot this book existed. I never had it. It's not bad. It's just kind of your run-of-the-mill X-Men special, but it's kind of cool, and there's some good art in it. So, if you can find it, I literally forgot this book existed. The Xavier Yearbook, alumni yearbook. Then I found some ASM. I think I got this at one of the Bedrocks, because Bedrock City Comics, it's not bad. I like their one over on Westheimer more than I like the one on Washington. This one, but some decent ASM that I was kind of looking to upgrade from books that I had bought whenever I was, like 11, 12, 13, and not taking care of my comics effectively. So bought that. Then, since Carrie's here, Adam Warren Gen 13, not manga, but
I don't know what to say.
hey, look.
Are you touching her nipple? That's not weird.
Sorry, I don't know where my hand is. I'm
Slowly pushing your hand
Okay.
down her abdomen.
here,
She appears
Oh, okay.
about 12.
and it's Roxy Magical Drama Queen
No touching.
Gen 13, and it's a 3-issue miniseries.
So it's Sailor Moon.
It is. Adam Warren was totally fighting Sailor Moon.
Yeah.
That was the whole thing. That was that he Adam Warren does that. I mean, he did that with Empowered. He does that with a Dirty Pair. So yeah, it's his thing.
Love me some Adam Warren Dirty Pair.
Yeah, and he also had a fairly long run on, I think, Gen 13. I don't remember if it was the main line or bootleg. But yeah, so 3-issue miniseries. And then this is something that I kind of got last week, and it showed up after the stream was over. So
Ooh.
yeah,
Yes, I saw this on Twitter.
Oh, it's pretty. It presents so much nicer than a 5.5 too. So yeah, I'm very happy with this. So if you can, go find yourself an X-Men 4, because that's just totally something that you walk out the door and they have one on every corner. You can totally get it easy. Okay.
Chat says Doc instinctively knows where the nipples are.
He did go for him, didn't he? I accidentally
go away?
removed him.
Others.
Oh, there I am.
Instead of hitting the thing
He
that
got
went
banned.
back, I kicked you out. That's my
Kicked and
bad.
banned.
I thought it was the cover touching, and you were like, no, we're not doing a
He's
Vince
like,
McMahon
how
here.
dare you?
Slowly rolling his finger down her abdomen after he tweaked her nips. Weird.
I literally have no idea.
Now we know what the Doc go-to move is.
Yeah, we just got the stinks for it, right? The instincts.
I literally had no fucking clue where my hand.
Pretty creepy because she looked pretty young, but that is neither here nor there. So I do want to say thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. Root on the Chiefs this weekend, and thanks to the panel for a fantastic show. I think we all had a good time, and now it's time to get the rest